Well, good evening, folks. Welcome back to Untitled Chapter. This is Chris coming to you live from Central Pennsylvania. And, whoa, what's going on with the beard there? Got to fix the beard. Looking pretty rough there. Welcome back to Untitled Africa. And I don't have nearly the audience that some of the other major YouTubers here around the country have. But got to say, I'm a bit hot and full about what's going on here. Have you heard? Did you catch my video a short while ago, the premiere? Folks, Fox News' own Neil Cavuto. You know the gentleman who suffered through horrible health conditions, and we, his audience, supported him immensely. Batting odds are now 11-1 for Trump. They keep dropping. They were 27-1. Yeah, Travis, they keep dropping because today, Kayleigh McEnany and a number of other folks dropped some facts, some reality. Here's the story, folks. Neil Cavuto was on earlier when Kayleigh McEnany and these folks, after I finished my live stream, went live to do a press conference to report some of the allegations of voting fraud in the presidential election. Neil Cavuto listened to a few seconds of Kayleigh McEnany, mind you, the press secretary of the White House, of the president of the United States. You know, the same person that Twitter constantly blocks. Now, the reason I decided to do this stream is, even though I just did a video on this topic, is that I noticed when I went to Officer Tatum's stream on this, he's doing a stream talking about it, that at the bottom it said that that the AP has called the race for Joe Biden, and below that it says information to show you that the election is secure. What is that nonsense? What is that? You see, YouTube is protected from the content that Officer Tatum produces and that I produce. They're not liable if we say something invalid or incorrect. They have no liability whatsoever. So why are they sticking that up there? They are not a news organization. They are a social media platform that provides this platform so that they can get rich for themselves and their shareholders, and we can utilize it, those of us who do this, either out of the public service or as a business. They have no business sticking nonsense in there like that. And that is censorship. Yes, I know it doesn't block content, but it distorts the picture. That's the problem right here. I saw that on Officer Tatum's page at the bottom. I took a screen capture in case anybody's curious about that, and I'll save that for future reference. So there was none of mine, but then they haven't had a chance to censor it yet. So we'll look and see if anything. I do notice that my stream doesn't seem to be running. Are you guys there? Are you guys watching my stream? Because right now it shows me that it's not playing. Let me see. Have I been censored already? Have I been censored already? I don't see anything going on here. Okay, I'm going live. All right, thanks. Yeah, so anyway, folks, as I said, I noticed that. It kind of pissed me off. So I decided to come online and talk to whoever's online. I figured there'll be some folks online in the States, maybe not many in South Africa. But this won't, thank you, sir, DVD Surf, or DFD Surf. And I figured I'd do this tonight. And folks want to watch it tomorrow morning, South Africa, they're welcome to. Although a few South Africans are probably likely to tune in. So here's the deal, folks. Neil Cavuto on his news program, Kayleigh McEnany, they break for a news conference. She says a few things and he cuts her off. And this is what he says. I watched the video. He said she's talking about that she wants to ensure that every legal vote be counted. Cavuto breaks into her and says she's charging the other side is welcoming fraud in legal voting. Unless she has more details to back that up, I can't in good countenance continue to show you this. And he cuts away. How can you cut away? How can you say that you can't trust what she's saying when you haven't heard what she has to say? That's fraudulent. That's fake news. That is your Fox News, ladies and gentlemen. This is the captured news network. No, not CNN, but Fox News. Fox News. It's been headed that direction for 3 years, and they are on board with the left, and there's your proof. What is everyone so afraid of? Relax. No state has certified the results. So why are all these media people flipping out? Oh, world leaders are congratulating Joe Biden. Oh, he's the president. Mr. President, Mr. President. What's your cabinet going to look like? Mr. President. No one has certified a single race. Georgia, by law, must recount their ballots. Whether they want to or not, tough noogies. It must be done. It is the law. I am the law. Judge Dredd. That's right. I am the law. Judge Dredd. If you watch the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Yes, it must be done in Georgia. There are immense irregularities in the state of Pennsylvania, which I said I would wait until Monday until I heard what the Trump campaign had to say. Guess what? They got a buttload of freaking stuff to talk about here. 859,000 ballots were hidden and obscured from election observers in Pittsburgh, in Philadelphia, in Allegheny County, and in Philadelphia. In Philadelphia County, 859,000 votes. And you think that's not strange? Well, that's also illegal. It's illegal. That is fraud committed on the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania by the officials in those two locations. Those polling stations must allow observers approved by the government before the election from all parties concerned to be present to observe the counting. They did not allow them there. Even after a court order, the state's attorney general, Josh Shapiro, countersued to block what a judge directed must be done. Now, never mind the fact that the state of Pennsylvania has committed fraud on all of us, where I vote at in Pennsylvania, by changing the rules illegally in violation of the statute here in Pennsylvania. Telling the public that no postmark is necessary, wrong, that's fraud, that's illegal. 2, the signature on the ballot does not have to match, the mail-in ballot does not have to match the signature on file for the registered voter. What? That's fraud. And number 3, that the ballots can be mailed in 10 days after the election when the statute says 3 days. Ladies and gentlemen, the mere fact that they announced this was fraud to begin with. The entire election in Pennsylvania must be thrown out. Must be thrown out. Or at least the 859,000 ballots that were counted without election observers must be disallowed. You know what? There's Trump ballots in there and there's Biden ballots in there. They should all be disallowed. Frankly, the whole thing should be set aside by the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, which will fail to do that. For that, the U.S. Supreme Court should set aside the entire Pennsylvania election and let us vote again before December 1st. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This will be the after Thanksgiving ballot. We'll go on Friday after Thanksgiving. You know, we can't have families in our house anyway because Benito Mussolini Wolf up here in Harrisburg has decreed that not more than 5 people may be in your house. Go shove it. Who do you think you are? Telling us how many people can be in our home. What are people who have 6 children supposed to do? Throw their children in the street? Throw them to the wolves? Ha ha ha! Tom Wolf, give me a frickin' break. There's a super chat from Flying Board. Trump was the reason Fox News had ratings. Exactly, Flying Blower. And they know they don't have many more. So they're just going all into the left, which is where they were headed anyway. Travis says Barr and the Department of Justice are going to step in. Really? What, is Durham going to do an investigation in Connecticut? Are we all going to wait for the conviction of Hillary Clinton based on what Durham had to say? Peter Strzok, Nellie Orr, Bruce Orr? Whoa, Comey, all the criminals in the FBI? They'll never be prosecuted. Not to mention, there's been a Hunter sighting. Hunter Biden has popped up like Punxsutawney Bill. He's been seen in public. Do you know why? Because he's not running scared anymore. Because all of his crimes will now be absolved. Folks, there's a phrase for this. I'm sure you've heard this phrase because we hear it endlessly from the left. Do you know what that phrase is? Anybody want to take a stab at what that phrase is for Hunter Biden? Give me a quick shout here, folks. What do you think that phrase might be? What might the left want to say? But they're silent about Hunter Biden, right? You heard me wail about this term, which I say is fictitious. But here's an instance where I think it's genuine, right? What is that term? When it comes to Hunter, folks, what's that term? White privilege. There's your white privilege. You racist looking for white privilege you found. It's called Hunter Biden. Called Joe Biden. Pay for play for decades. No criminal charges. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for white privilege, look no further than the Biden family. Right there. The octogenarian, the near octogenarian Joe Biden. White privilege. Today's word of the phrase of the day is white privilege. And how do you spell that? Hunter Biden. There you go. Cronyism is correct, John Kilpatrick. You spot on. You hit it on the head. My goodness. Fox News censoring the press secretary of the White House. Do you remember just a couple years ago, they were whining that the White House was not letting people come to they weren't holding press conferences. We have to hear the press secretary. Now the press secretary has something to say. They don't want to hear about it. Why is the media so opposed to sunshine being exposed on the election? No one's asking for exclusive access to the ballots so Republicans can delete Biden ballots and just show the Trump ballots. No one's asking for that. We're simply asking for the things that are allowed under law to be allowed to happen. That's it. That's it. Yet they don't want to hear about it. Nothing to see here. Move right along. Pay no attention to what's happening here, folks. Give me a break. Flip the shoe around. Flip the narrative around. Trump wins the nation on election night by a shoestring. Georgia has less than 1%. Pennsylvania is ahead by 10,000. Wisconsin is ahead by 20,000. Nevada is ahead by 3,000. And Arizona is ahead by 10,000. You think that Biden wouldn't be saying, no, this isn't over yet. The states haven't certified the ballots. We still have to wait for the military absentee ballots to be counted. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. And who would be carrying the water for him? MSNBC, CBS, NBC, CNN, and Fox News. You got it. Faux news, Fox News, the frauds at Fox News. The only program worth watching left on that channel is two programs. Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham. That's it. That's it. Can't watch Sean Hannity because he's going to sit there and cry big crocodile tears for Donald Trump and spew the endless conspiracy theories. We don't need to hear that. We actually need to hear real analysis. You'll get that with Tucker Carlson, and you will get that with Laura Ingraham. That's it. Brett Baer. Network is captured, folks. Fox News is captured. It is part of the deep left, deep left. There you go. Trump should fire. Listen, I already said it, Travis. I called for it yesterday. I called for it again today. Christopher Wray, gone. We already got rid of Esper today. Get rid of Christopher Wray and fire Fauci. Hashtag fire Fauci. The man who's been wrong more often than Joe Biden. That's an incredible accomplishment. In 1 year, he's been wrong more often than Joe Biden. Fire Fauci. Don't wear a mask. Wear a mask. Your pets can't get it. Your pets will get it. Stay away from each other. Well, it's not far enough. It's too close. You can open up the economy. You can't open up the economy. The guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And besides, he's a selfish bastard. 37 years as a director in that position. Why don't you move on, fossil boy? Let someone else come up the ranks. 37 years? What are you, the king potentate? Potentate? Are you going to stay there forever? Do you have the big man complex from Africa? Do you and Yuvari Museveni and Paul Kagame hang out on weekends and go, hey, I'm still in charge. I'm still running the show here. Come on. Give me a freaking break. Fauci. Piss off. Retire. My goodness. We could take one of those freaking, bobbleheads from a freaking baseball game and get more correct answers than we get out of Fauci. Come on, folks. Oh, come on, man. You know the thing. Joe Biden didn't even campaign, ladies and gentlemen. He sat in his bunker all summer. He only came out in desperation at the end and stepped on his crank every single day. I'm Joe Biden. I'm a proud Democrat running for the Senate. Ooh, good to know, Joe. Thanks for sharing. Don't worry, I'm going to end the carbon economy. Well, I'm not against fracking. When did I say that? You're making that up, Trump. I didn't say that. Corn pop. That's right, corn pop. We used to hang out in the pool. Little black kids come up and touch my legs. They touch the hair on my legs, the blonde hair on my legs. It got blonde in the summertime sun. Yeah, the little black kids love me. I like them to sit on my lap, too. Give me a freaking break. That guy got 75 million votes? What are you people smoking? What are you smoking? Are 75 million people going to admit that they're that stupid? Maybe 25, maybe 30 million people. 75 million? Yeah, that one beggars imagination. Real clear politics took Pence away from Biden, says Ann Jeffries. Really? I didn't see that. Will you take the vaccine? They say 90% effective. Travis, no. How do they know it's 90% effective? There's been no trials. Why would I take the virus? I'm not at any risk. I'm not allowed to go anywhere. I can't do anything. I'm a prisoner in my home. Who am I going to get it from? Thin air? Mowing my lawn? Take vaccine? It's ridiculous. When they prove the efficacy of the vaccine, then we'll take it. Not going to become some vegetable for some pharmaceutical product from a company that owes its existence and its profitability the last 3 years to Donald Trump, removing regulations, removing the red tape so that Pfizer could be productive and produce new things. A company that has no interest in vaccines normally. Pfizer doesn't do vaccines normally, but they see immense profit potential here. So Donald Trump clears the table, wipes out the deck, sweeps off the deck of the cruise ship so that everybody can get out there and make a vaccine. Pfizer profits from that immensely. The ability to bring to market a vaccine in record time, made possible only by Trump. And what did they do? Oh, we're not part of Operation. What the hell was the name of the operation there? The operation to come up with the vaccine. Oh, we're not part of that. No. Trump doesn't get any credit for this. No. This wasn't because of Trump. It's because of our genius. Yeah, it's us. And then Cuomo today comes out. Yes, the plans for this vaccine are flawed. it's going to discriminate against people of color and people, not everybody has a pharmacy in their neighborhood in New York. Excuse me? You ever been to New York City, Rocco? I have. I've been to Queens. I've been to Manhattan. I've been to Long Island. I've been to Brooklyn. There's a freaking Dwayne Reed Walgreens on every damn corner in Manhattan and one almost everywhere those other places. You lying sack. What a bunch of nonsense. What a bunch of nonsense. Idiots. Give me. Jessica Villion says the United States will never turn into South Africa. Jessica's been in both places, so... John Kilpatrick says those are my two favorites. You're talking about Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham. Wasn't sold on Laura Ingram's program, but she got better over time. Break all those deep state toys. Trump should fire the director and appoint Rick Grinnell as interim director. That would be a good choice, Travis. I would agree with you on that one. DFD Surf. Looking forward, I believe this is the beginning of an entirely new American conservative movement. Guys, that executive order was to protect election integrity. Which executive order, Sharon? Sharon, what are you doing here, man? It's like middle of the night in South Africa. Or is it early morning? No, it's middle of the night. You must be. Trump should appoint Tom Cotton as the FBI director. No, because we don't want to lose that seat. I get your sympathy, but needs to wait till we're into the next administration. When he gets to January and he's in office, then he can do that. But fire Christopher Wray now. I don't care if they appoint a broom closet. It would be more effective than Christopher Wray. No vaccine, says Jessica. The U.S. looks more like South Africa every year. Corruption, crime, tribalism, socialism, cronyism, haves, have-nots. The haves, have-nots is nonsense. That's simply not true, John. It's simply not true. Wealth disparity declined under Donald Trump. It spread under Barack Obama. The Gini coefficient got worse under Barack Obama each and every year. Why? Because instead of creating jobs, they created an environment to suppress job creation. And when they suppressed job creation, what they did was force people onto welfare and social grants, which pay less. So they created a bigger wealth gap. Barry, Hussein, Obama, and bumbling Joe Biden. They did that. They spread poverty in this country. Not the Republicans. No, not Donald Trump. He got rid of that nonsense. Slash. The first day in office. Slash thousands of needless, pointless regulations that useless presidents have put in place under executive orders, which should have no bearing on the economy, but they did. Gone. Keystone XL pipeline, under construction. NAFTA, gone. Replaced by USMCA. Boom. Includes intellectual property protections, copyright protections, and a fair deal for American industry, not simply shipping all our jobs north of the border and south of the border, which we did for 20 years under NAFTA. China, frequent World Trade Organization abuser, brought to heel. The Chinese, terrified Donald Trump would stay in office. Sure, there was Chinese influence. Have you heard anything about Chinese influence in this election? You hear this nonsense about Russians, right? Actually, most of the influence of the election has been the media with their fraudulent coverage of Donald Trump, his response to the Wuhan coronavirus, COVID-19, the China virus, as Donald Trump likes to say. The fraudulent coverage of that, the fraudulent coverage of the mayors, the lack of pointing out the fact that the mayors and governors are the ones responsible for local security in the cities of this country, allowing their cities to burn to create an environment that makes it look like Donald Trump has no control. Well, he doesn't have control. Not in those areas. It's not under his jurisdiction. It's under the governor's control. The big bad wolf, it's your responsibility for Pennsylvania. When people riot in Philadelphia, that's on you, not on Donald Trump, unless you call for federal troops assistance. It's on you. Travis says, wait, you don't want Pfizer experimenting? No need for that. Listen, folks, I have nothing against vaccinations. I have been a pincushion. In the Army for 36 years, I have had more immunizations than the average bear. Trust me. I've had freaking yellow fever vaccinations like 15 times. They're good for 10 years. Oh, that paperwork's not satisfactory. It's on white paper, not yellow paper. You're going to have to get another jab. Oh, you got one in the Army? Well, now you're out of the Army. You got to get another jab. Yellow fever. Meningococci. Ooh, that huge freaking horse needle with serum that big in the bum. Ooh, that one hurts. I took it in the arm. That wasn't a smart idea, but I did it each time. Every 3 months, 90 days, you got to take that damn thing. Rabies vaccination. Boom. MMR, half a dozen times in my lifetime. Boom. I've had more vaccinations than you can shake a stick at. Literally. I have nothing against vaccinations. I'm not one of these lunatic Hollywood celebrities. Oh, it causes autism. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. You have no evidence of that. None whatsoever. Yet the media will gleefully report it. Neil Cavuto reported a story about autism and vaccinations. Well, let's listen to what they have to say. Oh, Kayleigh McEnany talking about, voter fraud. Well, no, we can't listen to that. She has to give me evidence. So we're not going to listen, so we can't hear the evidence. Flying Boards just given a $5 super chat. Says U.S. is being modeled after South Africa. Look at BLM, Antifa targeting conservatives, just like ANC, EFF targeting white farmers. Yeah, there's some big differences, though, Flying Boar. They are a small minority in this country, whereas in South Africa, they're part of a majority ruling party's affiliate, essentially, that gets away with what the ruling party would like to do, but is just too proper to do. So that's not the case here in America. So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez can talk about her list. She can make her list all she wants. Does she really think she's going to get away with that nonsense? Don't kid yourself. Executive order signed September 12th, 2018. Yeah, okay. Operation Scorecard. Yeah, I've heard about this Operation Scorecard, but I mean, I'm not buying this story. People keep talking about it. Let me get this. I'm going to get this really quickly. I can't get it from my streaming software, so I got to pull it up here. Thanks to the 35 people who've tuned in for this. I appreciate your support for the channel and me tuning in for a late night stream, which was not planned. I'm just angry. I'm hot-full about this nonsense. I'm just hot-full about this nonsense. I've never seen this executive order. People keep talking about it, so let's see if I can't find this thing. If it's actually real or just a myth, like the watermarks on the that's not right. God bless it. It didn't copy the text I wanted. Copy. Here we go. It's still pasting Kayleigh McEnany. Okay, September 12th, 2018. National emergency pursuant to the Emergency Powers Act. With certain sanctions, the event executive. What's in the order on executive? Okay. Lawfare blog. Okay, let's check that out. Presidential documents. National emergency with respect to foreign interference undermining public confidence. That's the one you're talking about. This is about Russians, okay? On September 12th, President Trump signed Executive Order 13848 titled Imposing Certain Sanctions in the Event of Foreign Interference in the Foreign Election. Document opens, okay. Established interagency process determining whether election interference has occurred. That's one thing. Directive of courts identify sanctions, extent. Folks, this is about foreign interference. This is not. There's nothing here about the stuff you're talking about. See, that's the problem. It's a real executive order, but the things people are claiming about it aren't true. What's happening in the U.S.? Is this decline or what? No, Flying Board. This is a robust democracy at work. The fact that the media is fraudulent is the problem. If the media was honest, then the public would not be freaking out, and we would be seeing foreign executives going, "Oh, congratulations, Joe Biden, you're the president." Joe Biden thinks he's a senator from Delaware. He just ran as a proud Democrat for the Senate. Someone has to remind him every morning he's the president-elect. He's not, but I have to remind him that. Trump unfollowed Netanyahu. Well done. Screw Bibi Netanyahu. What a treasonous bastard. That piece of crap. All that Trump did for Israel. Decades. 5 presidents, not a single one followed U.S. public law requiring us to move our capital from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Under Netanyahu's prime ministership, when he was in jeopardy of losing, and people were threatening to prosecute him for fraud and other things, Trump lends him a hand and does the right thing by moving the capital, or moving our embassy to the capital. Trump got Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, and Sudan to all declare peace with Israel and establish diplomatic relations. Trump supported the Israelis with their Iron Dome, supported the Israelis in their fight against Palestinian terrorists. And this is how Netanyahu repays? Bibi, shame on you. Shame on you. When you were the ambassador of the United States back during the Gulf War 30 years ago, thought you're an honorable man. Supported your prime ministership. But you know full well that this election's not over. Why are you prematurely congratulating Joe Biden? Good for Trump unfriending him. That's good for him. Chad says, damn, can you let me sleep? No, Chad. Stay up all night, man. This is all night. We're into it. Carrie von Skalvik says, morning, Chris. Just joining now because I can't sleep. What nonsense. Well, Carrie, what we're talking about is Fox News' Neil Cavuto. After I went offline earlier, right after I went offline, there was a press conference from Kayleigh McEnany and some attorneys talking about their claims of election voter fraud. In this press conference, which I wasn't watching on Fox News because I don't watch it anymore, is this a repeat of 2000 Bush Gore? No, not at all. This is very different than 2000 Bush Gore, and I'll answer that more in depth in a second, Flying Boar. Thank you for that. This is, so I wasn't watching Neil Cavuto because I don't watch him anymore. He's frankly become too boring, and his anti-Trump stuff became nauseating. I've watched him for years and supported him. I thought he was an excellent business journalist. Unfortunately, he's gone off the deep end with politics. So anyway, so Neil Cavuto, they cut in, and I'm actually online and I'm following it. Right after my stream ended, I went in and I watched this press conference. Kayleigh McEnany is there. It had already been underway for some time, so this had already happened while I was online that he cut off. But Neil Cavuto cuts off the press conference, and he says the following. He says this: Kayleigh McEnany is explaining what they're talking about, why they believe there's election fraud, and they give many examples of. He says, she's charging the other side as welcoming fraud and illegal voting. Unless she has more details to back that up, I can't in good countenance continue to show you this. And he cuts her off. Well, she just started and you cut her off. Why? What are you afraid of, Neil? And how are we going to know if she has other evidence, if she has more details, if you just censored her content? For Fox viewers, you can no longer watch it. Neil Cavuto decided for you that you're not going to watch Kayleigh McEnany, the press secretary of the White House. Fox News, Neil Cavuto. Fraud news, fake news, Fox News. The fake news network, Fox News. Shame on you. Censoring the press secretary of the United States. By the way, Kayleigh McEnany, for the part that I saw, went on to point out that they have dozens of people who've stepped forward, who worked the polls in Detroit, in Philadelphia, and in other locations, who stepped forward and signed affidavits. Ladies and gentlemen, let me explain something to you. If there's no fraud here, if there's nothing to be seen, why is the press so eager to distract and cover it up and hide what's being said? Are they afraid people will believe lies? What if people believe lies? So what? They believe lies about Donald Trump for 4 years. Let's pretend they're lies. Why don't you let people hoist themselves on their own petard? Let them step out and step on their own crank by showing they've got fake information. But here's the problem. The Trump campaign has seen affidavits. When you sign an affidavit, your name to an affidavit, you make a legal statement. When you turn that into a law enforcement agency, you have just submitted a legally binding statement. If that's fake, if it's fraud, guess what? You're guilty of fraud and submitting illegal documents. And in an election, you're guilty of election fraud. And that's a felony. Why in God's green acre would poll workers from Milwaukee, Detroit, Philadelphia, and other cities come forward, dozens of them, under the Whistleblower Act, and sign affidavits saying that there were irregularities in the voting, including things like, as Kayleigh McEnany pointed out, a poll worker who was told to encourage people to vote for Joe Biden. Poll workers who were told to backdate mail-in ballots that came after the 3rd of November so that it appeared as if they arrived before the 3rd of November. These are affidavits, folks. These people place themselves in legal jeopardy for doing that. Do you really think that people want to risk their lives and go to federal prison as felony convicted people for Donald Trump? Who would do that other than maybe his daughter and his son? Nobody's going to do that for Trump. If it's fraudulent and it's investigated, then we'll find out these people lied. And then they'll be prosecuted for making fake affidavits. That speaks volumes to me. I don't need to hear about election machines, miscounting, and Dominion software and all this other stuff. That is enough for me. There is clear evidence of voter manipulation and fraud in this election. I would never sign an affidavit to say something like that if I didn't observe it myself. I'm circumspect about witness statements because witnesses missee things in the heat of a crime. Non-election violations when someone's pulling ballots out and going, ooh, let me see. That one's for Trump. Okay. That goes in F6. Put it in the shredder. Oh, this one's for Biden. We'll count that one. That one's for Trump. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you see someone get shot or someone assaulted or you see someone rob or someone steal a car. You know, our memory tricks us. I've seen crimes before and I've been a witness and supplied witness statements for authorities. Always been concerned about that. I always say to the best of my recollection, the best of my knowledge, because witnesses make mistakes. But these affidavits are by people who saw things, who were told to do things that were in violation of election law in their specific state. And they're going to risk their freedom over this election for Donald Trump? A lot of them are Democrats, apparently. I don't think that's plausible, folks. I don't think it's plausible. Chad says, I'm confused. Was Fox News not a pro-Trump channel? Yes and no. You remember that Rupert Murdoch turned over control of his company to his sons something like 3 years ago. Before that, during the build-up to the election, Fox News was a rah, 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 rah. I couldn't watch Fox anymore. Do you know what I was calling Fox News 4 years ago? The Trump Super PAC. Guilty, because they were. Every time it's like, oh, Donald Trump is on TV. Let's watch Donald Trump. Ooh, Donald Trump is in Milwaukee. Donald Trump is in Nevada. Let's cover Donald Trump. That was Fox News. Every one of their commentators, with the exception of Brett Baer, Shannon Bream, Rick Leventhal, and a handful of others, were in the tank. Oh, of course, Shepard Smith, who hates him, and Neil Cavuto, who hate him too. But most of their journalists were in the tank for Trump. Look at the morning show people. Oh, Donald Trump. Oh, look, the president. That Ducey guy. God, it was vomit-inducing. The Trump Super PAC. That's what I call Fox until 2017. Things changed, ladies and gentlemen. The boys are back in town. Murdoch's sons took over. Then they hired one of Joe Biden's former employees to work in their news department. Then they hired the fake Republican, the rhino, Paul Ryan from Wisconsin. You remember him, Mr. Speaker of the House. Well, I'm not going to work. I'm not going to take the job if I have to work past 5 o'clock. I have children. Screw you. Screw you. The hell we're out there defending this country in Afghanistan, Iraq, never seeing the birth of our children, missing birthdays, missing anniversaries, missing holidays, living in crap hole countries, getting shot at, getting blown up, losing testicles and body parts, a traumatic brain injury, and you're not going to work past 5 o'clock? Paul Ryan, you disgusting, vile former congressman? The audacity, the cheek, and the press let him get away with it. Well, I'll only take the job of Speaker of the House if I don't have to work late. Who the hell are you? If you're not willing to work that job 7 days a week, you have no business doing it. Trust me, Nancy Pelosi will show up 7 days a week to destroy this country. Can't you show up 7 days a week to protect it? Paul Ryan, your mega wealthy paying job at Fox News now, destroying the news network? Yeah, frickin' break. Fox News has been sliding to the left side of the aisle since 2017. In this election, as I pointed out, it seems quite odd to me that in order for me to watch Trump's rallies, I have to go online to find right side broadcasting or Trump's own broadcasting on YouTube. Not covered by the mainstream media. I don't expect CNN to watch. They used to. I don't expect them. I can maybe catch it on PBS and sometimes on Fox. But in 2015, they dropped everything, all of them, all the networks for Trump. Fox continued all the way up till 2019. Now suddenly, when it seems that Trump's going to win this election after the fake impeachment in January, Fox News starts backing off. They don't cover Donald Trump's rallies anymore. Donald Trump is out in Pittsburgh talking to people rallying him early this year. No, we can't cover that. That's too important. Here, watch our boring-ass, piss-poor analysis news program. It's on at this hour. Now, Fox is not a pro-Trump network, and it hasn't been since 2017. And it never should have been. It never should have been pro-Trump. It never should have been the Trump Super PAC. That was wrong too, and I said so in 2017. Just wasn't on YouTube then. And you ask anybody, I said I can't watch Fox anymore. The only thing I could watch occasionally was Tucker Carlson. I couldn't stand Laura Ingraham back then. She was not great on the radio and not tolerable on television. She's gotten better over time. Shannon Bream at 11 o'clock, pretty good. But that's it. Couldn't watch Fox News anymore. Jenny Vista says, good morning. Good morning to you. So much for freedom of speech. Exactly, Carrie. They just cut the president's press secretary, the press secretary of the White House, the single most powerful political position in the world, and the press secretary gets cut off because Neil Cavuto doesn't think that that's worthwhile and newsworthy. His judgment supersedes the American people. Well, piss on you, Neil. When you were unhealthy, we pulled for you. We stuck with your crappy program and watched it. Willem Wickelspies says, hello from Cape Town. Bush Gore. Okay, so the Bush Gore thing, no, it's not flying board because that came down to one state. And what happened in Florida was that Bush won the election by 1,800 votes, 1,500 votes, something like that. Gore didn't like it, so he sued. Flying Board's given $10 Canadian super chat. I'll get that in just a second. So he sued to count the votes. So they counted the votes, and they counted the votes, and they counted the votes, and they counted the votes several times. The Florida Supreme Court said that keep counting the votes with no end in sight. The problem was that Florida had to certify their electoral results or they would risk their electoral votes dropping out of the mix. Florida's votes then, which I think was 16 or 18 back then, they would have lost, their votes wouldn't have been gone to the Electoral College, it would have been disallowed. So in order for the votes to be certified, they had to be done by the date, for the date was required for the Electoral College. So the Florida Supreme Court illegally was allowing or directing the Florida state to violate its own election law, which said that the results had to be in by this date so it could go to the Electoral College. So the U.S. Supreme Court stepped in and said that Florida had no authority to authorize the state to violate its own law. In other words, the court was acting in an extra legal manner. It was legislating from the bench. The U.S. Supreme Court stepped in Gore versus Bush and said, no, you cannot do that. That is fraudulent. And it set aside the Florida Supreme Court's decision, which put an end to the county, and Bush won by 1,500 votes. By the way, for those who don't know, Al Gore fought tooth and nail. His lawyers fought tooth and nail to disallow nearly 3,000 military absentee ballots in the 2000 election. Did you know that? They fought to disallow military. We are overseas. I was in Africa. They fought to have votes disallowed, those scumbags, from military service members. Flying Boar says Democrats and fake news throw everything at Trump, from Russiagate, impeachment. Then they make a fake story about Trump making fun of military, but he came out on top. Let's hope he comes out on top again. Flying Boar, my brother, I am with you all the way. There's one Indian I'm down with right there, Flying Boar. Dude, you're all over it. That's exactly right. Everything. Could you imagine the heights of success Trump would have achieved if it were not for a Republican legislature that opposed him for 2 years? And Democrats who used treason to undermine his administration throughout the entire time he was in office. Could you just imagine that, folks? Just think about that. That's phenomenal, is it not? Shack Dweller says, good morning, beautiful people. Good morning to you, Shack Dweller. Chad says, Chris, do you follow Sydney Watson or Laura Southern at all? Both very good YouTubers. It'd be great if you could get either on your channel. I don't know who Sydney Watson is, and people keep asking about Laura Southern. I'm going to have to do a little research on those guys. Let me write that down now. Where's that at? That's 9454. There you go. I'll have to check them out. I did have Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson on my channel, but there was a snafu and she showed up. We got her in for half an hour. She invited me on her channel. I wrote back immediately, and I wrote back again 2 weeks later, and I've yet to hear from them. I also wrote back and asked them to come on my channel for the full program they promised to do, and they have not come back on. It's been a month. So, I don't know. Meantime, she's got conspiracy theorists on her channel all the time. I don't know why. I deal in facts. Maybe that's why I'm not going back there. Anyway. Sky News Australia seem to be balanced. Yeah, Sky News is pretty good. Okay. Like number 20. Okay. Dion Erasmus. I only listen to Fox News here, Tucker, etc. The things I hear now, Fox, disturbing. Well, Dion, bear in mind that you're not seeing it 24 hours a day. We can watch Fox News 24 hours a day here in the U.S. Very few people can watch it overseas 24 hours a day. And what you can find on the internet is only a few things, and only a few things are fed through there. So if you watch all their programming, you shouldn't be surprised, folks. This has been happening at Fox for 3 years. And I've lamented it, but I've not complained about it, hoping that they would remain objective. But they're not objective. Of course, they weren't objective in 2016, and I said so. Of course, I wasn't on YouTube. I was still a serving military officer, so I didn't say things about this back then because I wasn't allowed to do it. But I did say it in private and with colleagues and peers, and I said Fox is the Trump super PAC. They're not watchable. And so for a period there, watching any news became very frustrating. And so people ask me where I get my news from. I get it from a variety of sources, in large measure because you can't count on broadcast media, and you haven't been able to. Travis retracted his message. Why did you retract your message? What else? Chat note. Yeah, Laura Southern. Look up executive order. I did look it up, Sharon. It's not about the things you guys are talking about. That's the executive order. It was about Russian interference in our elections. Yeah. Yep. Okay. What else we got here? Cronyism said John Kilpatrick a bit ago. Anna Jeffries, Real Clear Politics took place anyway. I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to have to check it out. Killjoy Rasta, follow Dan Bongino. He also launched a new conservative free speech platform. They got more downloads on Twitter and Facebook. Yeah, Dan Bongino's pretty good. He's pretty good. He says, Sky News Australia says that they fear that China will go after Australia if Biden wins. Well, I don't disagree, folks. China's had its sights on Australia for a long time. Australia is full of illegal Chinese floating all over Australia. Now, there's been a long history of Chinese coming to Australia, just in low numbers because Australians kept them out. They were there back in the 19th century in the gold fields. There were Chinese immigrants, and the Australians have tried to keep the Chinese out of China for ages. But China covets Australia for a lot of reasons. Could you imagine if Australia was China forward, what geostrategic position they would be in then? They wouldn't need the South China Seas in the desperate way they need it now. They would have a continent. And they would love that. Now, I'm not saying China's going to invade Australia, but they want influence. They want to be able to tell the Prime Minister of Australia what they can tell the President of South Africa. We don't want the Dalai Lama to come to South Africa, and you better not let him. Dalai Lama can't have a visa. He can't come here. Are you serious? The dude was one of the earliest supporters of the anti-apartheid movement. The Dalai Lama. What's wrong with that? He's the coolest dude on the planet. He's apolitical, even though he's tactically the leader of Tibet, which was stolen from him. The Dalai Lama denied entry into South Africa twice. Once for a racism conference and once for Desmond Tutu's 80th birthday. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that? That is the Chinese influence over the African National Congress. That's what that is. And they want that level of influence over the government of Australia. And that's what they're shooting for. Flying Boar says, Republicans are not Trump's friends. They had both houses, nothing happens. Now look at Mitt Romney calling Trump to concede. And Mitt Romney can shove it. He's a disastrous failure. Mitt Romney cost us 4 more years of Obama and Biden because of his cowardly unwillingness to call Trump or to call Obama out on Benghazi, among other things. What a gentlemanly debater. It's a debate, not a cafe clutch. You're not there to suck up to Obama. You're his opponent. Put the knife in the turkey and shove it in the oven and bake it. But you lack that heart. He's a fraud. I don't even understand how people in Utah voted for this guy. Just because he's a Mormon? You voted for him because he's a Mormon? Because he helped with the Olympics? Woo, well, gratitude for the Olympics. Give me a freaking break. Peter Uberroth did the Olympics in Los Angeles. Nobody made him a senator. Useless senator. Absolutely useless. I call on Mitt Romney to resign. How you like that, Mitt Romney? You should resign immediately, effective immediately. Resign as a senator. How you like them apples? Telling Trump to concede. Why? Why do you not want to know about the fraud? Why do you not want to know if there's no fraud? We'll find out. It's a whole month before states certify the results of the Electoral College. Why the rush? Why the rush? Why the failure to hear the news? What's that all about? And the Flying Boar is correct. For 2 years, Trump had the White House, the House of Representatives, and the Senate. And what did they do with it? Very little. Trump did a lot, but things he can only do from the executive office. He can't legislate. Unlike Barack Obama, all I need is a pen. And he signs unconstitutional executive orders, and it carries the weight of law, and it's upheld by the Supreme Court. DACA, Delayed Arrivals Dependent Children Act, that's fraud. It undermines the sovereignty of this nation. There's no justification for it whatsoever in any law or in the Constitution. Yet, Barack got away with it. And Joe Biden promises to reinstate it. Seriously? No. Not on my watch. Flying Boars give another $5. Watch Laura Southern documentary Farmland in South Africa. Okay. All right. I have to see what her channel's all about. Nobody's watching my farmland stuff in South Africa. Lauren Southern's a lady who did the documentary called Farmlands about farm attacks. She says she's going to do a follow-up documentary. Okay. Is she South African? Is she a political scientist? She's just a YouTuber and she did a video? What's her background in South Africa? Sharon says people are talking about that order on YouTube. Well, Sharon, people are also talking about the story about Homeland Security, but watermarks on everybody's ballot, which is very implausible since 50 states do their elections in 50 different ways. And I'm unaware that the Department of Homeland Security has any authority over the 50 states who have their own election laws to force them to buy their ballots from someone that the Homeland Security Department determines. That's news to me. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it seems highly implausible. So, Shaq Dollar says your farm murder videos are good. Well, yeah, but nobody's talking about them. Apparently, whoever Laura Southern is, they're talking about hers. They make me all envious here. But thank you. Romney's a joke, says John. Indeed, he's a douche, says Shaq Dweller. Well, I think that's accurate. Yeah, so there you go. The Republicans are not Trump's friend. No, they never have been. They never have been. People are all in love with Mitch McConnell, but no, Mitch McConnell is not Donald Trump's friend. The only thing Mitch McConnell has done for Donald Trump is what Mitch McConnell did for his own legacy, and that is push through federal judgeships and Supreme Court nominees. That's what he did. Nothing else Trump wanted did Mitch McConnell go after. Not a damn thing. Not a damn thing. Not a damn thing. And see, now the press has run out their fake stories. Oh, Donald Trump only built 6 miles of the wall. Turns out he only built 6 miles. What? If you only built 6 miles, why weren't you talking about that for the last 3 years? Again, as I told people for the last 4 years, if you want to expose Donald Trump, there's plenty of things to go after. Why do we have a deficit? Where's the balanced budget? Now, that's not Trump's fault, but you could have put pressure on Trump to come up with a balanced budget. Not a word about it. Why? Because they don't mind us going deeper in debt. They're fine with that. The press doesn't care whether Democrats or Republicans do it, unless they can use it as a tool against someone. But it wasn't a tool against Donald Trump because there's no way he could run up the debt that Barack Obama ran up in 8 years, over $8 trillion of debt. Trump could never have reached that level of debt in normal circumstances. So they didn't care. Trump, you could get him for the wall. Well, if the wall wasn't built, why was I one of the few people complaining about the wall not being done? Bottom line is this is all fraudulent. Bobby B says Laura Southern did a documentary about the farm murders. Haven't seen it, but heard people say it was good. Chad Blingno. Chris, she is from the U.S. She's a YouTuber, traveled to South Africa to do a documentary about farm attacks. It's very good. Okay, I'll check into it. Are you able to comment on Pelosi's spouse and his influence on algorithms used in vote counting? Many thanks, says Willem. No, Willem, I don't know whether it has any influence or not. I've seen conflicting reports about Nancy Pelosi's spouse being a shareholder or an officer with Dominion Software. I don't know if he is or isn't. I'm going to look into that. Something I'll take a look at. But yeah, I don't really know what the story on that is. A lot of people talking about it. But I'm a shareholder in 35, 40 different companies. I have no influence over any of them. But trust me, every time that there was a government contract and I was in a position of influence, I was excluded and recused from those things. When I worked at the National Security Agency, I had to recuse myself from a contract bid because I had shares in IBM. IBM was not one of the contractors, but they were a subcontractor for one of the contractors. And because of that, I had to recuse myself and step off the source selection committee so that I would not involve unduly the award of the contract to supposedly to the contractor who had a sub for IBM. I didn't even know they were a sub. The only reason I found out about it is they said, we looked at your savings investments. You are not qualified to be part of the source selection team. I'm like, good. No one can be mad at me for not picking this company or that company. I don't want anything to do with it. Didn't ask to be part of it. Anyway. Kerry says, has PA traditionally been Democratic, Republican? Did you think it would go to Republicans now? Pennsylvania has gone for a Democratic candidate since 1992 in every election until 2016. 92, 96, 2000, 2004, 2008, 2012. In 2016, it went for Donald Trump by 75,000 votes. In the end, if they count a bunch of votes recount, it was 50-some thousand. So 50,000 went for Trump. Did I think it would go for Trump? Oh, yeah, in a major way. Trump won at least 800,000 more votes here than he did last time. At least 800,000 more votes. And he still lost. Give me a break. Give me a break. This is a state highly dependent on coal, steel, and now fracking. Joe Biden and his administration, working with Obama, tried to destroy the coal industry, and they did cripple it. So thousands of jobs were lost in the state because of the coal industry. The steel industry was crippled because of cheap imports from Asia, which Obama and Biden did nothing about. Trump put tariffs, and I'm not a fan of tariffs. That's not free trade, but he put tariffs, which gave breathing space to steel manufacturing in the state, which brought back jobs. So Trump did that. Trump also supported wholeheartedly the fracking industry, which Joe Biden has sworn that he will destroy and end. Then he lied about it in the debate, and he got caught in the debate, the second debate, lying about it. So, yes, I fully expected that Pennsylvania would go for Donald Trump. You couldn't go anywhere in this state without people, except Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and a few other spots, cheering about Donald Trump. 57,000. Think about this. 57,000 people showed up in a western Pennsylvania rural county to go to one of Trump's rallies a few days on Saturday before the election. 57,000. Joe Biden couldn't draw flies. Piles of shit can draw more flies than Joe Biden. He couldn't draw flies at a Philadelphia rally. Philadelphia, where all the votes came in from, he's got 12 people showing up. Yet he got hundreds of thousands of votes from Philadelphia, and only 12 people were enthusiastic enough to go see this guy. A presidential election is historic. When a presidential candidate comes to your city, you think you would want to go. I tried to go to Trump in 2016, even though I didn't like the guy. 15,000 people showed up at that rally. Now 57,000 show up at rallies. 47,000, 40,000, 46,000, 52,000. And Trump lost Pennsylvania? What a crock. What an utter crock. Yes, I know that anecdotal evidence is not proof of anything. But the fact that he has over 800,000 more votes than he had last time in the state is clearly proof of something. The fact that 859,000 ballots were excluded from the view of election observers intentionally by officials in Allegheny and Philadelphia County is a fact. Why would they exclude that? Why would officials in Detroit put up cardboard so that election observers could not observe the ballot counting? Why is that? These weren't people walking off the street going, hey, you know what? I think I'll take a look at what you're counting there because I'm concerned about fraud. So why don't you show me what you got there, boy? Let me look what you got going on there. I'm going to look at them ballots. I don't think that's right. I think that's a George Bush ballot. That's not a Biden ballot. You need to fix that. Change that. Nobody's doing that. These were authorized, approved, trained election officials by state authorities. Denied access to the polling station. That alone is fraudulent. Don't need any court case to decide that. Sean says, oh, come on, man. I won, man. That's right. Agreed. That was dodgy to try to hide counting. It is dodgy. What's even more dodgy, Shack Dweller? Did you know this? The Attorney General of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, after a judge directed that they allow the observers into the polling stations in Philadelphia, Election Day, he filed a countersuit on Election Day against the Trump campaign to stop the observers, who he was just told to allow in. Why is the Attorney General of Pennsylvania trying to stop authorized election officials contrary to a judge directing him to do it? What is that about? If there's nothing wrong here, if there's no fraud, if there's nothing untoward going on, why is the Attorney General of Pennsylvania trying to stop people from observing the election? I'll tell you why. Because something fishy was going on. Something fishy was going on. If they were so confident of a Biden victory, what would it matter if Trump observers, Republican observers, observed the ballots? They can't count any different than the Biden observers. So what does it matter? Why are you hiding it? Why are you filing a court case on Election Day? Your job is to protect the sanctity of the election. But Josh Shapiro comes out with partisan comments and says Trump will never win in Pennsylvania. What the hell is that? Resign, Josh Shapiro. Hashtag resign, Shapiro. Be gone. You're a fraud. You have no business being our Attorney General. My goodness, we had a fraudulent criminal Attorney General previously. Now we got this clown. Trump has fired Mark Esper. Esper was insubordinate, Chad. A few months ago, Mark Esper contradicted the president when the president was talking about possible plans to use federal troops to reinforce law enforcement in the cities that were in insurrection. Esper said, no, I don't agree. That's not legal. It's inappropriate. He told the press that. That's insubordination. He should have been fired on the spot. As should General Milley. General Milley should have been fired on the spot too. Oh, I was wrong of me to walk around in my uniform. Excuse me? What are you, the ice cream man? Do you work for UPS? What has Brown done for you? You're a general. Your daily uniform is fatigues. You wore your fatigues to walk around and see what the hell was going on. It wasn't inappropriate. It wasn't the wrong signal. Did you miss the civil military relations course at the War College? My goodness. My goodness. Generals involve themselves in politics. Esper should have been fired when he contradicted the president publicly back then. Simple as that. Christopher Wray should be fired for incompetence. The single biggest intelligence failure of the 21st century is not 9/11, ladies and gentlemen. It is the FBI's inability or unwillingness to recognize the domestic insurgency, the insurrection taking place in our country after the George Floyd incident in Minneapolis, in Portland, in Seattle, in Philadelphia, in Washington, D.C., in New York, in Atlanta. The FBI didn't identify the Antifa fascist, didn't identify the Black Lives Matter black supremacists for what they were, armed insurrectionists and a threat to our national security and our sovereignty, as well as our social cohesion. How did the FBI miss that? That's their job, domestic intelligence. It's the FBI's job. Christopher Wray should have been fired for that incompetence. And while you're at it, Dr. Fauci should be gone too. Bye-bye, Fauci. Should Trump visit Taiwan before he leaves? Do you think it's better if we have this fight now? Yeah, I agree, Travis. If he actually is going out of office, Taiwan should be one of his last stops. Should have absolutely be, and should go to South Africa. And he should threaten Cyril Ramaphosa privately. And if he's intransigent, do it publicly. Should Trump visit Taiwan? Yeah. When I say threaten, South Africa needs to be pulled off the Africa Growth and Opportunity List. They're violating the spirit and the law of U.S. public law. They should not be allowed to violate the law by undermining property rights, and they're no longer eligible for the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act. That's what they should do. Think people want so much for Biden to win that they would sacrifice everything to ensure it? Well, they have. Then they've been doing it. But some people are courageous enough to step forward as whistleblowers to expose the fraud that's taking place in major metropolitan areas in America. Bottom line. Folks, think about this. In order for Joe Biden to have won Pennsylvania with mail-in ballots, there were 2.5 million mail-in ballots that came into the state of Pennsylvania. He had to capture, based on the numbers he has now, 80% of those ballots. It just isn't plausible. 2 out of 3 mail-in ballot requests in the state of Pennsylvania for the 3 million, but there only 2.5 million came back. We don't know what came back. Are we to believe that 80% of the ballots that came back were for Biden, when 20% of registered Democrats were Trump supporters, and Trump had 91% support in the Republican Party, that would make us believe that of all that stuff, Trump only got a few 100,000. Instead of the 900,000, he should have gotten a minimum. More likely, should have got 1.2 million. And Biden should have got 1.4 million. And then that's a 200,000 advantage for Biden, maybe 300,000. But then Trump still wins the election after all those votes are counted by over 400,000 votes. Yet now Trump is losing in Pennsylvania. Something very fishy going on here in Hooterville. So true about the FBI. Criminal leftist. Chris, I must say, I love your passion. It's fantastic. Thank you, Chad. Schadenfreude says, she did say some crazy stuff. Trump needs to get Spicer back. Sean Spicer, he's long gone. Is there any way to box Biden in on China or immigration? I don't know about that. Good morning, everyone. Hey, Kyle Green, ZA, how are you? Kolasag Society says, how's it's 5 a.m.? I know. And look at all these people in South Africa I've been watching, folks. I only came on to talk about Fox News' Neil Cavuto censoring Kayleigh McEnany. I was only going to talk 15 or 20 minutes. Just thought I'd do it, folks. But look at this crowd that's coming. Somewhere, someone gave Zuma the counting box in USA. There you go. Fox News cuts away from Trump's press secretary as she pushes baseless claims of election fraud. No, they're not baseless claims. How do you know they're baseless claims? How do you know? Have you read the affidavits, Business Insider? Neil Cavuto, did you read the affidavits from the people who stepped forward and filed legal documents claiming that there's been voter fraud? The poll workers who did this? Not observers. Poll workers, people working for the state who stepped forward and said, there's been fraud. I was told to do this. I was told to change the dates on ballots came in after the 3rd of November to before the 3rd of November. That's what people are saying in affidavits. So you are saying baseless claims. See, this is the fraud here. This is the fraud right here. You see that? Business Insider running fake news right there. Neil Cavuto, fake news censorship of Kayleigh McEnany. If what she says is fraudulent, it will be exposed, right? If Kayleigh McEnany is making BS up, then she'll be exposed as a fraud. She'll never work again anywhere. Think about it. Use a little common sense here, folks. Just a little bit of common sense, not even a lot. If the Trump campaign is making this stuff up, they'll quickly be exposed for the frauds that they are. So why is the press so hard on ignoring this story? Why are they so hard on censoring the content? Why does YouTube put 2 caveats at the bottom of Officer Tatum's live stream about this topic? And they've probably done it to my video by now. Let's take a look and see what's going on there. I want to look and see now. Now I'm curious. And if it's there, I'll tell you it's there. Let me go check this out. I want to see. Opening up YouTube with this stream right now that I'm watching, or that I'm streaming, that you're listening to, excuse me. Fox. No, they haven't done it to mine. I guess they don't have a big enough audience. You know, I'm not big like Officer Tatum. I only have a handful of people. So they don't have it on mine. But on Officer Tatum, folks, they put 2 little caveats at the bottom. That's right. 2 little caveats. Let me find that really quickly. If I can find that caveat. Where's it at? It's not there. Did I not save it? Shoot. It's not there. Sorry, folks. I don't have it anymore. I thought I saved it. Well, that sucks. I thought I saved that thing. Apparently, I didn't save it. Anyway, they put 2 little caveats and said, 1, the AP is called the election for Biden. So we don't need that on his stream. Why do you need to put that on Officer Tatum's stream? And then below, in a little blue box, you can see it. And below that, it says, why election mail-in balloting is safe. That's not your job. It's not your job. That's propaganda, YouTube. Why are you putting that nonsense on a content creator's channel? Why are you doing that? What are you people so afraid of? Why do you fear sunshine? Somebody want to tell me that? Why the rush to declare a victor when Georgia's vote is an automatic recall? When Pennsylvania's vote is called in question because they violated their own election law? When the vote tally in Nevada, we have people signing affidavits now saying that there was fraud there. Same in Wisconsin. Same in Michigan. Why the rush? Why the rush to crown the emperor? He doesn't even know he's president-elect. He'll forget by lunchtime. You wake him up, unless you give him some pills, he'll forget he's the vice president. The president, whatever he's supposed to be. Remember, he ran for the Senate, running as a proud Democrat for the Senate. And it wasn't a slip. The guy makes a slip every 3rd sentence. That's a problem. Jessica says, Starbucks in the evening, you're going to be up all night. Nah, Jessica, I'm inured to caffeine. See, that's the thing, people. I could drink a 6-pack of Coca-Cola, I go lay down, and I'm out. Minus the snoring. I'm inured to caffeine. Doesn't keep me up. Ekleb ZA Gaming. Would you say it's the New World Order agenda at play here? I don't know about this New World Order stuff, folks. That was a phrase that George Herbert Walker Bush came up with, the New World Order, and it's been latched onto for the last few years, but people are worried about this cabal of people. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of fellow travelers who have the same sort of ideas. I don't know if there's some mastermind. It's like, believing the Masonic Lodge is some deep, dirty, dark, secret thing. I know Masons, and I don't see that. So disinfecting is bad for germs. That's why they don't want sunshine, Shag Dweller says. Right. Kolasang Nitasani, does Chris think that Trump has a chance of winning? I think that Trump has not lost the election. So do I think he has a chance of winning? Of course he has a chance of winning. The election is not over. We're still counting military absentee ballots in most states. And despite the fact that you see states called by the media, not by the states themselves, that Biden has won. He has 290 electoral votes now. 20 in Pennsylvania are going to disappear based on the lawsuits. You watch 20 votes disappear, it takes about 270. And then the game is back on. Then we see what happens to the lawsuits in Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, and we see what happens in Arizona. What's going on in Arizona, by the way, folks? Trump has closed a 360,000 vote gap. When they called the election, they said Arizona goes to Biden. Before the polls closed in Arizona. When the first polls closed in the U.S. on the East Coast, they said Arizona goes for Biden. No vote results in, and they gave it to Biden. How in the hell is that even possible? Arizona now, with 98% of the vote in, Joe Biden has a 15,000 vote lead. 15,000. From 360,000 at 82% of the vote, now at 98%, it's close to 15,000. So if 2% of the vote is still out there in Arizona, they've had 4.4 million votes. So 2% of 4.4 million would be 40,000, 43,000 more votes at a minimum that are coming in, not including the military ballots. 43,000 more votes. Do you think Trump can't get back those 15,000 votes out of 43,000? In just a couple 100,000, he picked up, in just a couple million. Arizona's not a done deal yet either, folks. Not a done deal. Nevada, Trump is now up by 26,000 with 95% done in Nevada, and Biden is up by 26,000. Yet they've called it. They called it. That's 6 electoral votes. They still haven't called Alaska for Donald Trump, and he's up 62 to 33%. And they've yet to give him the 3 electoral votes from there. Nevada. So Trump has 214. Alaska's 216. North Carolina, they haven't given to him yet. That is 15. That's 239 right there. He has that with 99%, 70,000 vote lead, 99% in. That's 239 right there. Pennsylvania, if it's sorted out and Trump wins it, that's 269, or 259, 259. That leaves him 11 votes short. And guess what Arizona has? 11 electoral college votes. There you go. That's without even taking Nevada, or without Michigan, and without Wisconsin. You simply win Arizona and Georgia, and I didn't even do Georgia. Yeah, Georgia, it's 99%. Biden's up by 12,000, and that's going to be a recount. And I guarantee that that's going to come out differently. So, do I think Trump has a chance to win? The fact that the press called this, that's shameful. This is clearly not resolved yet. And the fact that they've called is just disgraceful. But that's the press. What do you want, guys? I find videos with disclaimers to be best content, and other consumers know that too, so they won't be too worried. I don't find that to be useful. Why are they putting it on Officer Tatum's thing? They're throwing shade, giving the impression that Tatum is reporting something that's fake. Anyway, I guess I'm not big enough, so my tiny little subscriber base doesn't get their attention. Are the military votes also mail-in? Yes, Carrie von Skalwick. Federal absentee ballots are sent in by federal post or foreign post if they're in a place where you can't use federal mail. But almost every military ballot comes in through the military ballot system, which would be through the APO, the Army Postal System, or the FPO, the Fleet Postal System for the Navy. And then others send their ballots in through the diplomatic pouch. Now, there are exceptions to that. You can be federal absentee. Those are overseas military ballots. The military who are stateside, and that's a lot of people, by the way, folks. We have 1.6 million people on active duty in the military. Of those, a fair portion of them are outside their state on election day. So let's just say that 1.2 million are outside their state on election day. And it's probably more than that. So 1.2 million people. Let's say that just 50% of those people vote, right? 50%. So that's 600,000, right? Of the 600,000, probably about a third of them overseas. So 200,000 overseas ballots that'll be coming back in. Most of those come a little bit later because the states don't mail them out until 30 days prior, sometimes later than that. I barely got my Ohio ballot when I was in Tunisia. I got it 2 days before the election. It would not have counted were it not for the fact that somebody flew back to the States on a trip to the States that day. We gave them our mail-in ballots and he put it in the mailbox. So that's where I was headed to next. People who are in the States, let's say I voted in Ohio in 2016, even though I lived in Pennsylvania, because I'm an Ohio resident at the time. I entered the military from Ohio. That's where my driver's license was. That's who took my state taxes. And that's where my residency was in Ohio. Even though I had not lived there since 1989, I voted there every year. So I voted by federal absentee ballot in 2016. I requested it. I was a registered voter there. Used the federal absentee ballot form, which the military makes available at what's the word I'm looking for? The attorney's office there. Anyway, so I go get the ballot. I fill it out. I send it in to my state board of election or my county board of election. They send me my ballots in time for the election. I fill it out. I take it to the post office. I drop it in. They stamp it from Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Jessica Villon has just donated $5 to Super Chat, and she gave a clap. So she must be enjoying something. Thank you so much for the Super Chat, Jessica. So what happened there, folks, is I'm a service member outside of my state of residence on official business because I'm not really a Pennsylvania resident, but I'm living in Pennsylvania, so I'm allowed to vote in Ohio. That is the case for at least these are just numbers I'm making up, but they're reasonable, plausible. I went with a low figure too. That's 400,000 active duty military living around the country, not in their home residence, and they're sending in these ballots. Those 400,000 ballots, do the math, 50 states, right? That's a lot of ballots. Many of the states have almost no residents. Delaware has a handful of military people. Connecticut has a handful of military people. New Hampshire has a handful of military people. Alaska, a handful. Most of these people come from the big states: Ohio, Pennsylvania, Florida, Texas, California, places like that, New York. And so they're voting outside the state. So when they mail it, Georgia's another one with a lot of military soldiers. So when they mail in their ballots, a lot of states don't even open up. Every state's different, but a lot of states don't even open up the military ballots until 10 days after the election. So if they start counting the military ballots 10 days after the election, after they've supposedly had time to count all the other ballots in a normal year, then you got them. But answer the question, yes, the military ballots are mail in, and they normally have a postmark either from the APO, the FPO, or a U.S. Postal Service stamp. So that's how that works. Please like the stream. Thank you very much. AC says, only creatures of the night fear sunshine. Where does one draw the line between free speech and holding these public media entities accountable? Well, it's a good question, AC. That's one of the best questions I've heard of late. When does the media cross the line and become irresponsible? Well, they're given a lot of latitude in our society, and they've gotten away with stuff. Folks, the media has taken us into war. The Spanish-American War was instigated by William Randolph Hearst and other journalists who led us into a conflict with their fake reporting, their yellow journalism, the sinking of the Maine, which supposedly hit a mine. It didn't hit a mine. It's fake. And they led us into a war with their hyperactive nonsense. Kind of like people in my chat earlier. Oh, we draw a line in the sand. How often do we have to put up with this? Let's be out there at Brockenfell tomorrow. Let's take on the EFF. You're going to get people killed. You're going to get people killed in your irrational, emotional behavior. And that's what happened in the Spanish-American War. That was a war of imperialism for a country that was not an imperialistic country. Why? Because we were stoked into a hyperventilating emotional rage, and we went after Spain. And we dismembered what was left of their empire, taking Cuba, taking Puerto Rico, taking the Philippines from Spain in an imperialistic war caused by yellow journalism, by fake media. Media gets a lot of rope to hang themselves. They're rarely held accountable for their actions. Can you only vote in your state, Chris? If you're military, you can vote in your home state, or if you're living in another state, you can choose to vote there, but you can only vote once. To vote more than once is election fraud, and you can't do it. It's a federal crime. The whole world is shaken up violently. The Beirut explosion, the Roanoke elections, the EFF. Yeah, I'm with you, Kyle. There will be many folks writing books about the year that we all want to forget. Good morning, Martin Mull. Good to see you. Drunken Yoda. Recount means nothing because it simply recounts already counted ballots. Audit. Criminal investigations needed, plain and simple. Well, the recounts, in effect, are an audit of sorts. Now, recounts often don't change much, but they do change elections. George Bush had a bigger margin than 1,500 votes before the first recount. It was, I think, like 2,300 votes. He lost 800 votes in the recount because there were ballots that were soiled, ballots that were counted incorrectly. So recounts do matter. But recounts matter especially here, Drunken Yoda, because Justice Samuel Alito directed the state of Pennsylvania to segregate the ballots that came in after the third. by law. Now, if they violated that, then they've invalidated the election. So who knows if they did or didn't. But the state of Pennsylvania was required to take all mail-in ballots that came in after the 3rd and count them separately. When we look at the ballots that came in on Election Day and the mail-in ballots were counted before that, and then we look at the ones that came in after Election Day and we see if they violate the law, they can be discounted. And trust me, there's a lot of ballots in there that I expect will be discounted. So in the case of Pennsylvania, a recount is very apropos. Very apropos. In the case of Georgia, I'm not holding a lot of weight on a recount. What I'm counting on is military ballots making a difference in Georgia. Bag full of discarded ballots for Trump were found in the trash at church in Oklahoma. And in 3 post offices in Pennsylvania before the election, mail-in ballots that said Trump were thrown out. There were a couple Biden, but most of them were Trump. Yeah, all kinds of stuff going on. If USA has election fraud, imagine how South Africa will go. Good point, Andre Ferrara. Chris, did you hear that Julius Malema is going to Brockenfell High School today? I did. And I will have coverage of that tomorrow. Okay. Kate Cross says, good morning. Kyle says, ANC have already rigged the voting and they've already won. Might be seen previously. DA1 areas going ANC. I don't know about that, Kyle. I don't know. Supposedly on their way there in droves. Well, you know what the best response to that is? Private security, law enforcement, and the schools should have come up with an alternate venue to discreetly take all the students away from there so nobody's there. Shouldn't be any parents showing up. Let them act the fool out there in front of the schoolyard and expose themselves for what they are. Chad says, I say that anyone going to Brockenfell, please do safely. Brockenfell is a tinderbox to potential. I say don't go to Brockenfell. Why would you do that? Why would you go there and get yourself killed? How does that help your children? How does that protect your children? How does that make any sense whatsoever? We already saw earlier on my stream today when I showed the video of white South Africans beating up black South Africans. But they were throwing rocks. Not germane. Not the video that was shown. Hey, Erica, good morning to you. Not the video that the world has seen. The video the world has seen is a white guy beating the crap out of an EFF supporter. Of a big white guy snatching the bray off of another guy and starting a fight in which several people pounded on that guy. That is what the world saw. White people chasing black people in the streets. Not EFF throwing rocks. Not EFF toying or causing trouble. It's not what they saw. And those people foolishly played right into it. And now they've given the racist ammunition to claim that all whites are racist in South Africa. Look what happens. Innocent black men simply standing up against racism, and they're beaten in the streets by whites, just like apartheid. How stupid can people be? How stupid can you be? Stay away from Brockenfell, folks. Stay away from Brockenfell. I think I should go make a turn at Brockenfell today as my neighborhood before Table View. Well, Kyle, then it was nice knowing you. I'm glad you're a moderator on this channel, but make sure your will's filled out. No, don't go to Brockenfell. That's what they want. Don't play their games. Exactly, Jessica. Exactly right. They just want attention, and people are giving it to them. Thank you, Andre Ferrara. That's exactly what they want. They're a bunch of buffoons. They want attention. They're dangerous. They're dangerous. Make no doubt about it. When they threatened to destroy cliques, they did. When they threatened to burn down farms, they did. When they threatened to kill the Boer, they have incited that violence. No doubt about that. But they want attention. Don't give it to them. It's like a fire. Deprive it of oxygen. And you'll see what happens. EFF is always playing victim even when they're aggressor. Yes, Kyle. But they had nothing to prove, nothing in Senegal to show. We won a strategic victory in Senegal. We being the independent, honest, legitimate, caring people who care about South Africa. Black, white, colored, Indian. Those who care about South Africa. Because the EFF was exposed for what they are. Now, unfortunately, there was a little bit of coverage the other way talking about guys in uniform, paramilitary, and other stuff. But the truth of the matter is we have the footage of the EFF singing and chanting Kill the Boer, which refutes the New York Times lies. There's evidence of it. And it was seen by the world. We have evidence of the EFF singing Burn Down the Boer, Burn the Boer Out. We have 20 minutes of video of Julius Malema spewing racial hatred at Senegal. It's all there. We have the evidence of 25 police cars escorting Julius Malema to the... Why? He's not a head of state. He doesn't get a police escort, let alone 25 cars. We've seen the state overzealous, charging white South Africans with heinous crimes that don't exist. Andre Pinard charged with terrorism. What? The murderers of Brendan Horner committed terrorism. They should be charged with terrorism, domestic terrorism. Not Andre Pinard. If anything, he was just a bit ridiculous and out of control with what he said. Inciting violence, perhaps you have a base of a charge there. But attempted murder for slapping a police officer? When did a slap become a fatal condition? I think a gunshot to the head is a fatal condition. stabbing someone multiple times and torturing them, hanging them from a post and murdering them. That's a fatal condition. That's attempted murder. Yeah. And then we see this guy who fires a pistol into the air, and he's arrested for attempted murder. What's he trying to murder? Seagulls? His actions were rash and foolish and stupid, but he didn't attempt to murder anybody. They've lowered it to public endangerment or something like that. That's not going to hold up in court either. Jamie Harris is here. Good to see you. I was thinking of going there to cover it for you, Chris. I'll stay out of trouble. No, Kyle, thank you for that. But it's just, look, I'd love to have the footage, but I don't want anybody I know to go and get themselves injured to get footage. No. Brockenfell is going to be a mess tomorrow, folks. It's going to be a mess. It could be a very serious tinderbox. Anytime the EFF does this. Now see, a few months ago, the EFF tried this nonsense when the people tried the Josie to Stellenbosch march, against the racists in Stellenbosch. There's almost no white people there. Don't even know what you're talking about, you idiot morons from EFF. Stellenbosch is a colored town. Have you ever been there? Most of the people who live in Stellenbosch are colored. 2/3 of the residents are colored, you morons. And you're marching against white racism, white arrogance. Almost nobody showed up. They look like buffoons. Now look at them. They go to Senegal. They have a crowd and people cover them. Now they're going to go to Brockenfell and you're going to give them the attention they want. Killjoy Rasta says, less attention would pay the EFF, less funds they receive from the elite to wreak further havoc. Remember, empty vessels make the loudest noise. Bingo, Killjoy Rasta. Peter Roberts just gave an Australian super chat. Thank you. It's a super chat, a stripper chat too. Thank you so much for that. Flying Boar says, I love Israel and their people, but I'm disappointed with Netanyahu congratulating Biden. With you 100%, Flying Boar. The space between us is rarely big. Sometimes there's a little gap between us, but right now, with you 100%. Bibi Netanyahu, disgraceful. But yeah, Israel's a wonderful country. Chad says, I agree with you 100%, but unfortunately, there are some folks who are falling for the EFF annex and hell-bent on getting themselves killed. Yeah, and leaving their children parentless and in someone else's care, or making themselves targets. Not wise, folks. Peter Roberts, Chris, the Australian voting system works well. Voting is compulsory. $100 fine. There's $99, 90% vote. Also, every party has adjudicators when votes are counted. Well, we have adjudicators too, Peter. But the poll workers denied access to them in the midst of the election. Hence the reason for the lawsuits in Pennsylvania and elsewhere. So when people say that the other side didn't commit fraud, they did. They did commit fraud by denying the people who are supposed to be adjudicating the ballots access to the ballots. We have the same system here. We don't have mandatory voting, and I have a problem with compulsory voting. I don't think anybody should be compelled to vote. I would hope that people want to vote, and I would encourage people to vote. And I would be concerned if less than 55% of people who are eligible to vote bothered to vote. But as long as 55% or more are eligible to vote, I don't care the percentage turns out. If it's 85%, fantastic. If it's 75%, fantastic. 90%, fantastic. 60%, I'm okay with that. Compulsory voting is nonsense. It's nonsense. I don't agree with that in Australia. Don't agree with it at all. Peter, thank you. Don't agree with that. IS says, unfortunately, this voter fraud investigation will not amount to anything. Essentially, it's attacking what the universal term democracy stands for and its values and principles. Okay, are you trolling ICE? How is investigating fraud undermining democracy? The fraud is undermining democracy. When you steal an election like Mugabe does or did, you undermine democracy. How is uncovering fraud undermining democracy? It sounds to me like ICE, like you're here to troll. You're going to have to explain that one. Otherwise, you're just going to be dismissed as a troll. Flying Boards give another super chat. India, country of 1.5 billion, they count their ballots in one day, yet it took us a week to decide the winner. Unbelievable. Yes, but India is a very different country, Flying Boar. It's not the same sort of system as we have here. We have a federal system in which states are sovereign. That keeps getting lost on people. The states are sovereign. They determine their own election laws. And they each have a different fashion in doing it. We don't have a centralized system. It's not addressed in the Constitution on how to do it. So the states have that responsibility. Ecleb Zed Gaiman says, we need to ask the correct questions. Why are they reporting one-sided? Why are those things happening? It really does go deeper than we think. Yeah, exactly. ICE is just saying a moment ago that this is undermining democracy. How? And why isn't IS? Why isn't IS asking the question about why the media doesn't care about, what about these affidavits? I mean, if I was in the media, I'm a journalist, but if I was writing around for a newspaper or for a television station, I would be asking the question, where were those affidavits filed? How many in Milwaukee? Do we have the names? No, because they're protected under Whistleblower Act. Okay, so they're federal whistleblowers. And how many of them are they? And what do they allege? Can we see the actual affidavits without their names on it? Can we see that? Those are legitimate questions. And then you look at them. Oh, look, this person's an alcoholic drunk. They weren't really at the polling station. It's fake. They should be prosecuted. This person is a known criminal. We don't trust this person. Okay, got it. Well, this person, okay, this one's valid. Why aren't they asking those questions? Why does this bother so many people asking simple questions like this? Why? Well, we know why. Because there is fraud. And they don't want people to know about it. They want to cover it up. They want to rush to the Electoral College. Remember, nobody's declared Joe Biden the winner except the media. The media doesn't run our elections. It doesn't run our country. It tries. It influences it, but it doesn't run it. The media is not in charge here. Joe Mugabe Biden declared the winner. Flying Boar, you're on fire tonight, Flying Boar. You're on fire. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done already. Thank you, Kyle. Problem is everyone think there are warriors. Both sides convinced they're going to win. Their ignorance and arrogance is going to get innocent people hurt. No one's thinking long term. Kate, I hope you're talking about Brockenfell, the U.S. election. It could be the U.S. election. Busy running on a treadmill. See you later. Oh, all right, Kola-san. Good. Stay healthy. That's more important than catching my stream. You can always watch it later. John Kilpatrick says, I think voting should be centralized somehow and a national holiday with time off. John, there's merit to what you're saying. I get what you're saying. My issue is I think election day should be a Saturday. Should always be. I know it's the Jewish Sabbath, but we can't do it Friday because a Friday is a work day and it's also a Muslim. It's a Muslim day off. Saturday is the Sabbath. Sunday is a Christian day of rest and worship. The majority of people in this country are Christians, so sorry, we go with that. So let's go on Saturday, and it's a national day, and people go vote. There you go. And then we see who turns up to vote. Kate saying yes, Brockenfell. Yeah, we don't need people going there and getting themselves injured and causing problems. Julius Malema will, of course, show up, and it'll be news. So I don't know what time it's supposed to happen. I wish I had an announcement of when Juju is going to be there because I do a live stream if I knew I had coverage. But this is a very dangerous situation, so I don't really have anyone to do the live stream with. Although it looked like Kyle was volunteering to go for me. I don't want Kyle to get hurt, though. Don't want that to happen. We like Kyle too much. Democracies don't work. Constitutional republics work. We have a constitutional republic, Killjoy Rasta, and it will work. It'll be sorted. Once all the evidence is looked at, once all the votes are actually counted. We haven't counted all the votes. 95% in Nevada. That's 5%. 98% in Arizona. 99 in Georgia. Pennsylvania says 99. Michigan says 99. So mostly counted, but not counted. Okay, so Jewish people don't claim Jimmy Kimmel. Is he Jewish? I didn't know that. Joe Biden may turn into Julius Malema of America. You guys are funny. You're killing me, man. You're killing me. You're killing me. You're killing me with this stuff. Funny, you guys are very entertaining tonight. Maybe I should do a nighttime stream all the time. Flying Borders donated another $5. Dude, thank you so much. Joe Biden may turn into Julius Malema of America. That's just funny. He's not quite as bad as Julius Malema, but yeah, PA is not decided, M. Clark says. Yeah, somebody said earlier, Real Clear Politics had taken it off the table. So I don't know if that's true or not. Folks, we got over 100 people watching the stream right now. Thank you so much for that this odd hour. That's amazing. Wow, but only 53 likes? Come on. Come on, man. You're getting free entertainment at this hour. Well, not, most of you get free entertainment. The Flying Boar is paying your freight. Flying Boar is definitely paying the freight. 113 people watching the stream right now. Thank you so much for that. Let me see if I can find this because what their map is. Real Clear Politics election results. Here we go. Let me see what they've got. Okay, Real Clear Politics. 2020 president election. By the way, the Senate's not decided yet either, and neither is the House. That's still being sorted out too. Still being sorted out. So, yeah, Real Clear Politics has taken Pennsylvania off the board. They have. Look at that. Real Clear Politics is not decided Pennsylvania or Arizona, Georgia, or North Carolina, but they have decided Nevada. So that's interesting. That's interesting. Interesting. So they've got Biden at 259, Trump at 214. Trump at 214. They don't have Alaska either. So let's just do the math, folks. With the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 states at Real Clear Politics still leaves off the table. That would mean 3 votes in Alaska gives Trump 217. 15 votes in North Carolina, 217. Patty Roach just subscribed. Thank you so much for subscribing, Patty. So 217 plus 15 is 217, 227, 232. Arizona's 11, 253. And Pennsylvania's 263, 273. Trump could win the election with Alaska, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Arizona. That's it. Doesn't have to win Georgia. That's with Michigan and Wisconsin off the map, not even discussing the fraud being chased there. Folks, right now, Arizona, Georgia, and Pennsylvania is where this thing are being decided. People are saying Pennsylvania's decided already, but it's not. All those Pennsylvanians voted for the candidate who is going to end fracking. Thank you, Joyce. It's not even plausible. Not even plausible. Yes, the people in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh don't rely on fracking for the most part, but it's just not plausible. Just not plausible. Free Inhabitant says you're doing great. Well, thank you so much for that. John Kilpatrick says more like Kamala Harris equals Julius Malema. Flying Boy says I can't watch late night talk show anymore in SNL after what they did last weekend showing Trump as O.J. Simpson. What? Flying Boy, I don't even know what that is. I stopped watching all those idiotic shows over a decade ago. They're not entertaining. Jimmy Kimmel? No, he was never entertaining. He was barely mildly entertaining doing football broadcasts on Fox for the NFC. Barely entertaining then. Kate Cross says, Chad, exactly. We need older, experienced leaders controlling the hotheads. There's a snowball effect, and the minorities are doing exactly what cancer wants, creating the narrative they are their victims. Yeah. Yeah. I just read Flying Boar Super Chat, so there you go. Yeah, Kate, exactly right. I think that the reason that in my earlier stream, Blickett2K just subscribed. Well, thank you for subscribing, Blickett. The reason that earlier on my stream, this evening stream, why I was very energetic and impassioned about things and I talked to people is I was trying to calm people down. I wanted to make the point that they're not being rational. They're just reacting on an emotional basis, and it is not productive. It's counterproductive. Flying Board, Johnny Carson was bad. Yeah, that's a long time ago, though. Johnny Carson was great. For that matter, Jay Leno wasn't bad. Letterman was good for a while, but then he fell off the deep end. Sarah Pruitt says, I'm really excited that Biden won, but I respect your opinion. I really hope we'll be able to come together as a country. Sarah, well, thank you. I respect your honesty. I don't know why you're excited that Joe Biden won. Are you looking forward to the Chinese having counterintelligence compromising information on Joe Biden so that he does whatever China wants? Are you looking forward to Joe Biden's 4+ decades of pay for play in which he sold influence for his brother and his daughter and his sons? Are you looking forward to Joe Biden's incompetence when it comes to COVID-19? The man who wants to lock down the country and make us all wear a face mask, but doesn't have the authority to do it, but said he will do it. Someone finally clued him in, and today he asked governors of the states to issue mandatory mask wearing. You're looking forward to that, Sarah? What else are you looking forward to, Sarah? We can all come together. We were together. Did you actually believe the fraudulent narrative, Sarah, that there's institutional racism in this country? Do you know how many black officers I worked for in uniform over the 36 years? Quite a few. Many of them are generals now. We have a higher percentage of generals in the Army who are black than the percentage of officers in the Army who are black by a wide margin, nearly 3 to 1, 2.5 to 1. What's that all about? Institutional racism? Black population in this country is 13.5%. 65% of the NFL is black. 87% of the NBA is black. Starting salary in the NFL is $460,000 a year. $480,000 a year. In the NBA, the starting salary is $890,000 for players who never stepped on the court, never proved themselves. Over 8 out of 10 of those players are black. Institutional racism? I don't want to hear about driving while black. I've been pulled over 30 times in the United States in the course of my military career for driving while in the military. What does that mean? Living in another state than where your car is licensed and registered at because you're authorized to do that. So, for instance, right now, not right now, 2 years ago, I went to New York and drove up through Niagara Falls to go to Canada to watch the U.S. qualify for the Rugby World Cup in Hamilton. On my way up there, driving at 57 miles per hour because I was on cruise control, crested the hill, went down, it went past 55. I tapped on the brakes and knocked it off cruise control so I wasn't speeding. A police officer sees my out-of-state Maryland license plates, whips around in a cornfield, nearly wrecks his car, puts his lights on, stops me about 200 meters down the road. I was stopping anyway because it was a traffic light, pulls me into a filling station and comes up, and I hand him my military ID card and my driver's license. He throws my military ID card back in my face, into my lap, and then tells me I was going 77 miles per hour. I said, that's not possible. You can check my cruise control. There's a computer in here. I wasn't going 77 miles an hour. I was going 55 on cruise control. I wasn't going 77. He said, well, you were exceeding the speed limit, and issued me a ticket. I looked to see what it was. It would have resulted in 6 points on my license, and in New York, it was a $650 fine. Why? Driving while in the military, because I had Maryland license plates, even though I was in New York State. So I drove 6 hours to New York later that summer for a court appearance to contest that ticket. I walked the distance and measured the distance on a map and on the road and proved that it was impossible for him to have used radar to gun me down because he was in a dip and his signal would not even, so he couldn't even register my speed, let alone register that I was speeding. Wasted an entire day, $50 worth of gasoline, and my time to refute a charge because I was given a ticket by an overzealous law enforcement official who was trying to meet a quota and decided to do it to me because I was driving while in the military. So I don't want to hear about driving while black. I also don't want to hear about this other nonsense about this, that, and the other. I grew up in poverty. No electricity, no running water, fetched water from a cistern, used an outhouse to go to the toilet, collected eggs, fetched eggs, milked cows, baled hay, picked my own vegetables. Had food stamps when I was younger than that. Embarrassing thing, going with actual colored bright purple and green and pink food stamps to buy food at the corner market. Very embarrassing. Very ego crushing. Discriminated against in public schools where all my classmates were Puerto Rican and refused to speak to me during breaks and recess because I didn't speak Spanish. I just moved there. It's America. Expect me to speak Spanish? Idiotic. Attacked for being white in a housing development outside of Annapolis, outside Crownsville. Thrown to the ground, my knees pinning my shoulders to the ground when a knife is pulled out, a switchblade open against my throat and run across my throat and threatened to be killed because I'm white. I hear this nonsense about systemic racism. What a bunch of horse manure. What a bunch of horse manure. Terry R. Zappa says you didn't say that 4 years ago when Trump won. Didn't say what, Terry Zappa? That comment is not helpful. You have 200 characters. What did I not say 4 years ago when Trump won? What did I not say? And unless I know you personally, how do you know what I said 4 years ago? I didn't have a YouTube channel 4 years ago. I wasn't broadcasting about this. So what exactly did I say 4 years ago, Terry Zappa? Please do share. Inform me. Where were you at 4 years ago? 4 years ago was 2016. I was teaching at the U.S. Army War College. Were you one of my students, Terry? I realized that the chat is about 30 seconds behind my actual speaking, so I'll give you a chance to respond to that. I ain't got no cabbage. Saturday Night Live is a shadow of itself. It used to be a funny show, but now it's plain stupid and a lot of no-talent players on it. Yeah, I'm with you. But I'm waiting for Terry Zappa to tell me what I didn't say 4 years ago when Trump won. Joyce Bachman, Pfizer just announced the vaccine around the corner. Biden will take credit for that, right? Well, Pfizer's already saying they're not part of Operation, whatever it is, that Trump came up with to come up with the vaccine, and that they did it all on their own, and Trump gets none of the credit. Well, Trump didn't research it. He's not the researcher. He didn't develop it. He didn't take the risk. But what he did do is he cleared the table for Pfizer. He removed all the restrictions that were put on vaccine manufacturers out there that have been in place for decades so that these companies could develop it. So they wouldn't be at the stage they're at now unless Trump cleared the table for them. It took the deck chairs off the deck. That's what Trump did. So Pfizer's disingenuous bunch of liars. And I don't own any Pfizer stock. If I did, I would sell it or I would short it because it's shameful conduct on their part. They should be honest. The only reason that they're able to develop a vaccine this good is because they have an open marketplace and Trump cleared the table for them of all the obstruction from the Food and Drug Administration. That's why. Sabrina says, amen. Our military targeted. How do you mean, Kate Cross? Targeted in what way? Nigel says, good morning. Katie Lombard says, hello. Terry Zappa, Sarah Pruitt. Oh, Terry, you were responding to Sarah Pruitt, not to me. Okay, sorry. Okay, sorry, Terry. That's why I was asking. See, that's the problem. You only get a couple characters that you didn't explain what you're saying. Doug Schmidt says, you don't tell the truth. Who doesn't tell the truth? Me? There's a lot of trolls in here. There's a lot of trolls. Sabrina Clark says, just tuning. Sorry if you've already said this, but do you think Trump will come out victorious? Yes, I do. And I've never doubted that. I did say when all these people were running out conspiracy theories about, electronic tallies here and this and that, I think I said, the watermarks on the ballots. I said, I can't confirm any of that. That's fake news. I have no evidence of any of that stuff. All I can confirm until today was that Pennsylvania committed voter fraud against the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The state of Pennsylvania has a statute which requires a postmark on all mail-in ballots. This is a law they passed last year. Mail-in ballots must have a postmark. The signature must match the signatures on file for the registered voter. And the ballots must be in within 3 days of the election. That's the law. Pennsylvania announced 3 weeks before the election they're violating that law. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court upheld that. It went to the U.S. Supreme Court. In a 4-4 decision, they sent it back to the state and didn't give them anything. Rox Reagan just subscribed. So they refuse to follow their own law. So the entire election, in my mind, is fraudulent. We have been defrauded. Whether Trump wins or Biden wins in the state of Pennsylvania, 7 million Pennsylvania voters have been defrauded because election officials have chosen to ignore the law. They are in violation of the statute of the law of Pennsylvania, and they must be sanctioned for it. And we've also seen the Attorney General of Pennsylvania come out in a partisan fashion and say before the election even was held that Donald Trump will never win the election in Pennsylvania. That's not your job to make statements like that. That's fraudulent. You should resign, Josh Shapiro. Doug Schmidt, how is that I don't tell the truth? How is it I'm not telling the truth? Please share with us. Ken Shorin Ryu Shidoken just subscribed. Thank you. Are you Japanese? Ken Shorin Ryu Shidoken. That looks like a Japanese name. Thank you for subscribing. How exactly... What will happen to the laptop? Nothing, Joyce. If Biden wins, nothing. The FBI has had an opportunity to get the laptop apparently a year ago. No interest in it. No interest in a laptop that potentially has information about a compromised presidential candidate with counterintelligence information that might be of value. You see how broken the FBI is, folks? How in the world would you not want that laptop when it was turned over to you voluntarily? You didn't even get a subpoena. The dude says, here, take this. You don't even need a subpoena to take it. It's his property. He said, take it because it was abandoned by Hunter. Dragonfly Radio X WXJR. Thanks for tuning in, my friend. And thank you for subscribing. Why did the FBI have no interest in that laptop? We discovered from Uma Abedin, that scuzzball personal aide of Hillary Clinton, who also had access to classified information, and she doesn't have a clearance. By the way, her family shares an office in London with a group that sponsors terrorism in Palestine. That ever come up? Anyway, Uma Abedin, Hillary Clinton's confidant, has a laptop. And guess what's on that laptop? And the only reason they found out about it is because her husband shared the laptop, which because of a subpoena they were able to get when they were hunting him down for being a pedophile. Remember Anthony Weiner? An appropriate name, is it not, for this gentleman? Anthony Weiner and his sex photos and all that stuff. Remember that? Yeah, Anthony Weiner. And when they looked in the laptop, what did they find? But classified U.S. intelligence information. And how did it get there? Because Uma Abedin illegally put it on there. No charges against Uma Abedin. No charges against Hillary Clinton. The FBI didn't care about Hunter Biden's laptop or the risk that the United States is put at. And trust me, as a counterintelligence agent, I will tell you that Joe Biden is compromised. The Chinese have stuff on him. Why are all these Japanese names popping up here? Looks like a bunch of trolling going on here. Is the Christmas cactus behind you flowering yet? No, it's not. Good eye. It's a good eye. That is a Christmas cactus back there behind my bunny. Well done. Well done, Jessica. Well done. I'm impressed. That is a Christmas cactus. Biden's proposed C-19 task force is very worrying. I don't know what that is. You had 8 message deleted. Wonder you had 8. Terry Zappa, my bad. Don't worry about Terry. I misunderstood. That's why I asked. Vito Ismail, we will never have another great president like Trump again. I'm walking away from the Republican Party. Well, Vito, before you walk away from the Republican Party, understand that Trump isn't a Republican. He never was. He was a Democrat, and he used the Republican Party to run and become elected because you have to be in one of the parties. The only reason I joined the Republican Party is because if I run for office, you have to be in a political party. Although I'm considering starting my own political party yesterday, I decided I'm thinking I'm going to start my own political party. But you have to be a political party in order to run. So he joined forces with them. Izumi Kiyomziazu and Kandia Hainsworth, Satone Hemingway agree, but let's see the evidence. Yeah, I agree. Let's see the evidence. Kayleigh McEnany laid out some of the evidence tonight, including affidavits from poll workers in Detroit, in Milwaukee, in Philadelphia, who've made statements to law enforcement officials in which they claim fraud was taking place, and they were given directions to do things that were illegal. They filed affidavits. If they're frauds, guess where they go? As we say in German, im Knast, in jail. So let's wait and see. Exactly right. Let's see what happens, Vito. Or not Vito. What will happen to laptop from hell? Nothing. Peter Roberts, super chat coming up there. All being said and done, these are worrisome times. Yeah, I agree with you, Ecleb. HBM Air is here. Marvin Stevens. A lot of deleted messages here. I'm going to read these because there must have been some nasty things. Peter Roberts says, I'm a South African living in Australia for the last 30 years. The only way I get the truth and pictures to listen to guys like you and Ronaldo. Cool. Doug Schmidt, you are good. Sorry. Okay, thank you, Doug. You changed your opinion. Alan Thompson, good morning. What's been mentioned before? American folks, sure, they're actual Americans in their counterintelligence departments. Alan, I'm an American. I'm sure there's Americans counterintelligence. I work counterintelligence. Jessica said, I'm overjoyed. I found Chris super difficult to find correct news from South African states. Well, thank you. Peter Roberts, a massive $15 super chat. Thank you so much for that super sticker with the flying Superman there. Thank you so much for that. Satone says, if Trump was a Democrat side, will he still be president? Not if he didn't win the election, and he won't be if he's Republican if he didn't win the election. But we have to decide. Michael Miller just subscribed. Thank you for that. We have to find out what actually happened here. China is smiling now. Exactly, HBM Air. That's exactly what China's doing, smiling. Now I want to see what these deleted messages were. Somebody got hidden. Marvin Stevens got hidden, so I wonder what Marvin was saying. Kendia Hainsworth got timed out. I couldn't look forward to another 200,000 people dying of COVID until I heard these tapes of him acknowledging, knowing about the virus and doing nothing. 6 months later. Okay, Okay, Candia, there's no reason to time Candy out. That's a different point of view. It's a fraudulent point of view. Candia is spreading fake news. First off, 200,000 people didn't die from COVID. Second, the initial estimates were 2.2 million people would die. 2.2 million people have not died from COVID if Trump didn't take action. He took action, was under his control. Also, Candia, that's very dishonest for you to make that claim when you know full well that it's the governor of Pennsylvania, Tom Wolf, and the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, and Nancy Pelosi from San Francisco, and Bill de Blasio from New York, who told people to ignore the Centers for Disease Control recommendations at social distancing in February and March, and encouraged people to go to Puerto Rican Day Parade, to ignore the president because he's a racist and xenophobe. It's also the governor of New York and the governor of Pennsylvania who put people who were COVID positive in nursing homes and killed all our grandparents. That wasn't Donald Trump. And also, it's fictional that 200,000 people are dead from COVID. The CDC itself accidentally admitted the actual number of cases when it was 210,000. They gave the true figure on their website. Quickly taken down. Fraudulent number of people, 200,000. So you're going to buy, even if it is 200,000, you're going to buy that nonsense and not give him credit for 2 million people not dying. That's what Fauci said. In January, Fauci said 2.2 million people are going to die unless you take action. Donald Trump took action. Candia Hainsworth. What tapes? See, this fraudulent narrative about Donald Trump and the tapes, he knew how dangerous it was. That's BS. Didn't have to delete her, though. Anyone going to the cannibalism site is not guaranteed to leave. It's sophisticated. Okay, that's just, yeah, I see why that got deleted. Yeah, UN8, you got deleted for your being difficult. And first last. What did first last do? Okay, all right, so back up to there. Okay, Brexit was rigged too, probably. No, it wasn't. It wasn't rigged. It was won outright. What was rigged was the 3 years that they didn't do Brexit by the Tories. What I must say about Chris is that he has integrity to not air an opinion without facts in front of him. Well, thank you, Chad. Thank you. Free Inhabitant, why do the Democrats tell us over and over, just move on and get with it? They haven't left President Trump alone his entire presidency. Exactly. Isn't that interesting? Just move on and get over with it. Why? Because they want to unseat Trump. That's all they care about. Do you notice the thousands of people who showed up in D.C. hugging and shaking hands? Yay! The evil monster's gone. I'm sorry. What happened to COVID-19? Didn't Joe Biden just ask the governors to force us all to be slaves in our homes? Be serfs and peasants for the state? And tell us we had to wear face masks? I have asthma. Screw you, Joe Biden. Gonna wear your freaking face mask. I already have difficulty breathing walking in a store now to do my necessary shopping over an idiotic rule. The mask does nothing. A cough travels 16 feet. A sneeze can travel 24 feet. Why are you morons telling us to stand 6 feet apart? You feckless, clueless clowns. Is there a magical number 50 people can gather, but 500 can't gather? You're just playing the odds. You're playing the Vegas odds. Why don't you be honest about it? And Governor Wolf saying that no more than 5 people can be in your home? Up yours, buddy. Up yours. Who the hell do you think you are, you tyrant? Benito Wolf? Gosh. Why has Attorney General Barr done anything to make big arrests? Exactly, Jay Thompson. Where is Durham? Where is the so-called hotshot prosecutor for the federal attorney for Connecticut? Where the hell is he at? Where's this investigation? Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, James Comey, Nellie Orr, Bruce Orr. Just the tip of the iceberg. All these well-placed senior FBI officials committing fraud against the American people, trying to commit a coup d'etat. Where are the charges? James Comey has a book published. He's got a sitting professorship at Harvard or some other idiotic school like that. Peter Strzok was offered a position at Georgetown, I think it was. These clowns are feted instead of in bars where they belong. Not bars where you get alcohol and pick up dates, but behind bars. Where are the prosecutions? Quite frankly, if Trump won the election, if he does win the election, come February, I'm going to be asking for Barr's resignation. He's done nothing. We've seen nothing. Where is the Attorney General in this election fraud? The Attorney General is responsible for the sanctity of our elections as well. Why are they not investigating this? Are they investigating? Why are they so quiet about it? Why is it up to a political campaign to be the only ones to pursue fraud? The officials at the Attorney General's office in Harrisburg should be pursuing the election fraud charges. They should be looking into it. But they don't want to hear about it. They don't want to care about it. Why? If there's nothing to it, then it doesn't take much to investigate it now, does it? And dismiss it. And then have a permanent record of it. With the investigator's name there, with the results, the places they visit, the people they talked to, the votes they looked at. It's a piece of cake. Why do you want to cover it up? Folks, even if it's all fake, if it's not true, why are they so quick to brush it aside? Why? Are the USA Democrats really democratic? No, they're not. They're totalitarian tyrants. And what else we got here? Jay Thompson. Casper Labaskakna says, the way I feel about these build risk COVID regulations, 80% that became infected, everyone that infected someone else for the last 100 days wore a mask. Exactly. Yeah, speaking of which, so I pointed that out. When they tried the nonsense about, Donald Trump. Remember that? Donald Trump is so irresponsible. He held a White House Rose Garden ceremony to announce Amy Coney Barrett. Look at his super spreaders. Look at all these people that got COVID. Excuse me. A third of the people who got COVID who were present, when they take the little AP pictures and circle their little heads in the crowd, were wearing masks the whole time. They always wear a mask. The mask does not protect you. It makes people feel good. You know? But COVID disappeared when they celebrated about Joe Biden's supposed victory in D.C. in Black Lives Matter Plaza. The District of Columbia disgraces itself. It should be federalized, and that should be fixed. A black supremacy group. That'd be like having a spot in D.C. called the Ku Klux Klan Square. Reprehensible. Same with Black Lives Matter. Chris Christie, no thanks there, Joyce. Benedict Arnold, Terry Zappa, SCOTUS will make this right in the end. I don't know. We'll see. It's true the left are the most evil people ever. Nigel says, dig deeper and you'll see it's big business gunning for Trump. He's really pissed them off. He has. You know why? Because instead of making 89% profit on the widgets they make in China on slave labor, they're going to have to bring their factories back to America and make 69 cents. Oh, you greedy, selfish bastards. Coming from a capitalist, a dyed-in-the-wool capitalist, I find their conduct to be shameful. Offshoring our production, undermining our sovereignty, making us vulnerable to foreign entities. That's not patriotic. They shouldn't be rewarded for that. And Trump threatened them. He did threaten them with his actions. Made it more difficult to do business with China, which pissed a lot of them off. Apple is perfectly happy to take their crap phones and say, designed in California. Who gives a crap where it's designed? You're not even using American programs. You're importing Indian labor and Chinese labor to write your programs. Putting us at risk with foreign workers writing your code on your crappy phones, designed in California, made in China for $300 a pop, and you sell it for $1,500. Who's the one that's at fault here? Dems playing this with China. I don't know if they play it with China. Clever, clear. What's going on there? Why'd you get deleted? Phone, fist bump, smile, phone. I don't know why you got deleted there. What's going on? Sorry about that, clever cleaver, if you didn't do anything wrong. Garland Cox, Fox change after Russellgate. Please subscribe. Carrie says, thanks for keeping me company so early. Good chat. Enjoy your day, everybody. Okay, take care. Dem's probably going to rejoin. Oh, that's why you're getting deleted there, Clevin Cleaver. Stop doing all those characters, man. It's just you're spamming. Lisa Parkins, I believe that it's Erica. They are so very desperate. I believe that's it, Erica. Okay. Terry says, after China lost the trade deal, suddenly we got COVID-19. Look at the big picture. Interesting there. The Bushes, McCains, Ryan, Romney were never patriots. I agree with that, W. Viss. That's a good one. Paul Dufton, China is pretending to place sanctions on Australia. Yeah, Australia, we're your dearest friends. They're amongst our closest allies. Trump watches out for you. But we do see the totalitarians at work. Remember Victoria there where they imprisoned outside Melbourne in that town, Ballarat. They imprisoned a pregnant woman because she posted on Facebook that she encouraged people to go out to a demonstration. The right to assemble is freedom. And people were angry about the lockdown rules, and so they decided to make an example of people. So they looked at her Facebook page. They spied on her, a domestic spying. They spied on her Facebook page, and they went to her house to arrest her. 4 months pregnant, they put her in handcuffs. She was exposed to COVID, potentially, by these government officials, taken from her home on her way to an ultrasound. You want to talk about overreach? The fascists who run the provincial governments in the states in Australia ought to be strung up, politically strung up, not calling for them to be hung, politically strung up. Alex Jones from InfoWars have been saying this would happen for years. IS, you misunderstood. I'm certainly not a Biden fan. The characteristics of democracy such as legal, equality, political freedom, and the rule of law that Western societies uphold, objectively speaking. IS, it was a long time ago you wrote that, so I don't remember what you wrote, but you wrote something, and I asked if you were trolling. So I did misunderstand. And I forget what it was. So use the highlight feature. Yeah, that's it. Kyle's giving you a point here. You have to use the @ symbol if you want me to see your comments to me, because then it shows up, my name comes up in orange, and there's a lot of comments coming up, so I don't see them all. So I missed the plot there somehow. So I apologize if there's confusion on my part, but you said that so long ago, I don't recall what it was. Vivis says, do you think the military will side with civilians? Should Biden take... No, I do not. It is not the role of the military to be involved in law enforcement. That's not the role of the military, unless there's an emergency declared by the president. So the military will not be involved in anything about Second Amendment. And besides, people keep talking about the Second Amendment as if they can take it away. They can't. What they can do is pass laws that are unconstitutional in states like New Jersey, Maryland, and other places, which prohibit your ability to keep and bear arms or restrict it. They do that all the time. They do it all the time. Magazines, open carry, closed carry, having firearms in your car, yada, yada, yada. They pass laws all the time, most of which are unconstitutional because they infringe upon your right to keep and bear arms, the Second Amendment right. But they can't pass a law saying you can't have guns. That's illegal. It doesn't comport with the Constitution. So the only way to get rid of that is to rescind the Second Amendment. How do you rescind the Second Amendment? With a constitutional amendment. That's the only way to do it. Or you have a new constitutional convention, which wipes out the Constitution altogether, and we start over from scratch, which is an effort by a lot of people to do the Convention of States. They're trying to have a Convention of States rally, which is close to being approved. Australia's on its way to becoming totalitarian. I agree with you, Erica. It is. Keith says, it does seem that few in America's government who are Democrats are prepared to see the democratic process is designed to ensure the truth and justice actually swing in operation. Agreed, Keith. Why are Democrats opposing questions about the election? If Biden won it fair and square, then what does it matter if people ask questions? They'll be proven to be wrong. God forbid Biden wins. Would that be bad or good thing? It would be bad for South Africa, Franz. Very bad for South Africa. I'm not promising you that Donald Trump will be good for South Africa. My expectation was in his second term, Donald Trump would be better for South Africa from a standpoint that Donald Trump at least is aware of South Africa and has been alerted to the farm murder issue, among other things. And that in the second term, Donald Trump is likely to play tougher with African countries which have been violating the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act. So that was my expectation. But in order for that to happen, Trump would have to be back in office, sworn back in January, and then he would have to fire Lana Marks and appoint me ambassador to South Africa. Anyway, so there you go. Carol Dickinson says, why has the news about hydroxychloroquine and zinc ceased? Because they can no longer use to beat up Donald Trump. That's what it was all about. Folks, the whole story with hydroxychloroquine and zinc and the other stuff was all a consequence of a French study that took place in February. And when Donald Trump saw the results of that study, he came out, and instead of saying, hey, let's came from a French study, he said, we've seen very promising results from a study about taking this malaria drug, anti-malaria drug, hydroxychloroquine, and we're going to look into it. And the moment Donald Trump said that, the lying media, remember that's what this stream started out, was a lying media and Neil Cavuto censoring the White House press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany. That's where the stream started 2 hours ago. Wow, 2 hours ago. So that's where it all started. So the lying media decided that they were going to denigrate that story and bury that story and attack Trump, right? Remember they said Donald Trump said to take hydroxychloroquine and it killed people. Yeah, morons in Arizona who drank fish tank cleaner. That's not hydroxychloroquine. Hydroxychloroquine is a perfectly safe anti-malarial drug. I took it for years. No ill effects. No ill effects. Didn't short my life. Didn't give me cancer. Didn't give me lupus. Didn't cause any problems, folks. But it did keep me from getting malaria. That and good practices. Very effective. So when a French study said that it could have efficacy potentially against COVID-19, and when Trump reported that, they lost their freaking minds. If Fauci had come out and said that instead of Trump, they'd have been like, okay, let's listen to Dr. Fauci. He knows everything. But it wasn't Fauci. And so then they went in this campaign to lie about it. And Neil Cavuto himself lied about it, taking information out of context from the FDA talking about the safety of hydroxychloroquine. No, they got the story wrong. It's perfectly safe. First off, you can't buy it over the counter. You can't walk into a CVS or Walgreens and buy it over the counter. It's prescription only. So a physician can prescribe it to you. But the first story, it's dangerous for people with all these underlying conditions. You can't take this. It's dangerous. You can kill yourself. The less than 2% of people who have a reaction to it, the doctor's aware of people who have those conditions. And if a doctor prescribes you that medication when you have an underlying condition, that's malpractice. It ain't going to happen. So that was misleading and it was a lie. And the media carried that for it. And they denigrated Trump. And they played games. And then they tried on, it's a dangerous drug. Rachel Maddow, it's a dangerous drug. How dare Donald Trump tell people to take this drug? He didn't tell anybody to take it. He said they were looking at it for its efficacy. And the media lost their minds. Donald Trump listens to scientists and to the science. And the leftists deny science and project their own witchcraft onto everybody else. It's the bottom line here. Rod, your last post got deleted. Okay, well, let me go and see when your last post got deleted. Oh, that guy's back. Rod, I'm going to look for your post here. Rod Hurd says, my last post got deleted. Well, Rod, understand that there are Google moderators showing up on our channels and deleting people's chats. Brandon Duffy just subscribed. Thank you for that. Rod, I don't even see a comment from you in here. I'm looking. Oh, I'm sorry. That's a top chat. That might be why. My apologies. Let me get back here. Rod said his chat got deleted. Rod Hurd. Let me see. Rod, okay. No, your chat's not deleted. Trump, Nigel, you're right. Trump was an outsider to the entire political business establishment and completely buried the establishment status quo. That message wasn't deleted, Rod. What are you talking about? There's no message after that from you, Rod, that's deleted. So I don't know what you're talking about, my friend. Nobody deleted your message. It's there. Biden's putting a COVID team together. Really? Right. Fauci, the fountain of wisdom. I think not. No, Rod's posts aren't hidden. I see his post. He hasn't been deleted. There's someone else that's been deleted. Casper Labaskakna says, to me, it's obvious that Biden cannot function on any level. His victory speech sounded like a rambling drunk. How is he going to negotiate on any level with world leaders? He's not. He's going to do what he's told to do. Ice says, I'm not a fan of Biden. Okay, I already said that. Chad, off topic, must say the X-47B advanced unmanned aircraft is going to change the face of warfare. That is a bit off topic with Chad. Lisa Parkins says they need to string up just one corrupt politician. Going forward, they may think twice about committing treason. France was laughing at that. Labaskakna says, make no mistake, when EWC comes, Biden and Harris will be cheering the SA government. They will, and then they'll try to do it in America too. Watch. Now, that's a bit of hyperbole on my part. Peter Roberts says, Australia is more Democratic than USA. Victoria is a premier who is left, but he will be out of the next elections. We'll see, Peter. Thank you for the super chat, though. Super sticker, super chat. Well, it wasn't a super sticker, just super chat. Thank you so much for that, Peter. We'll see. I love Australia, but I'm very concerned about the totalitarian lean of some of your states there. It's all propaganda to us. We hear nothing we hear. The opposite of what we're told says, I ain't got no cabbage. I love that. Rod, you're saying your post was deleted, Ben. I don't see any deletion, so I don't know what you're talking about. Jerry Vita said he's dismantling the people. The communist Democrats are counting the on to help Biden. Yeah. Shadow government. Dirty Dog. Bill Gates Foundation bought $205 million of pharma stock. Not surprised. Smart move. Fire the director of the CIA. I don't know if that's the smart move. She's done fine. Let's see what else. Didn't tell anyone to drink Clorox either, but they said he did. Exactly, Joyce. They lied about that, and they have no shame in their lies. Rod says, I did not see it, thanks. Yeah, no, it's there, Rod. I read it. So you didn't get deleted. But folks, let me be clear here. We discovered last week on my stream that someone started complaining about, hey, what are your moderators doing deleting my chat? And I'm like, well, what are you talking about, man? And I went looking for the chat, and I found the chat that the person was talking about. When a moderator on my channel deletes your chat, or if I delete your chat, whoever does it, I can go back and click on the chat, and I see what you actually wrote. And I do that sometimes because sometimes I have overzealous moderators who are just trying to do a good job. And sometimes they take something out because they think you're being abusive. And so I'll go back and I'll say, hey, that wasn't necessary. So I try to read the ones that are deleted just so I see. And if it's a troll, I have a little fun with the troll sometimes. But when I saw this person's comment, it said removed by Google moderator team. And there was no message. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't see it. So Google is spying on our stream. They've also throttled my stream and caused it to buffer on several occasions while they fed it through another server, I guess, so they could make sure that they could censor what was going out. I don't know why they did it. But we saw that happen several times last week after the election when I was talking about the elections. If they have that kind of time to mess with my channel with 18,000 subscribers, how sad is their life? No hate speech, no calls for violence, no racism, no bigotry, no abuse of anyone on this channel. We do attack public figures, but they're fair game. They're public figures. And we attack them for their failures, not for their character, for their race, for their color, their creed, their religion. We attack them for their failures or for their broken promises. And that is our right to do. We have a right to do that. And we do that on this channel. So there's no reason to have any issues with this channel. And you just disagree. If you disagree, censoring me is stupid. That's not very smart. That's not fair. So we saw people having their comments deleted by Google moderator team, not my team, folks. Tropa Belladonna says, does anyone have any evidence of election fraud? I'm working on a thesis paper about this election, but I can't find anything concrete. Atropia Belladonna, you've tuned in very late. I will run through it once again very quickly, the election fraud in Pennsylvania. I don't need a Trump campaign election lawsuit. I will tell you that the election in Pennsylvania is fraudulent for the following reasons. Look up the Pennsylvania statute from 2019, okay? You'll find that Pennsylvania passed a law and it said that they will take mail-in ballots. I opposed the law, but I'm not in the legislature, so I couldn't vote against it. The legislature signed it. The governor signed it after they approved it. The law says that ballots must be postmarked. They must arrive within 3 days of the election, and they must have a signature that matches the signature on file for the voter. So 3 things, right? 3 weeks before the election, the state of Pennsylvania announced with their Democratic governor and Democratic attorney general that they were not going to follow Pennsylvania election law. They no longer required a postmark. They no longer required the signature to match that on file. It could be any signature. And they also said that they'll take the ballots up to 10 days after. Now, I don't know if they're actually going to take ballots up to 10 days after. We'll see if that happens because we're not 10 days after yet. But I do know they took ballots without a postmark and they took ballots without a signature, or they're holding that standard. That alone is fraudulent. That violates the Pennsylvania law. Several counties and the Republican Party sued the state of Pennsylvania. Went to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court said the state can do whatever they want. Well, that's not true. What's the point of a law? What's the point of the legislature and having a legislature, an executive branch, and judicial branch if the judicial branch decides what the law is in violation of the actual law? They didn't cite the Constitution of Pennsylvania or the U.S. Constitution as the basis for Pennsylvania being able to violate its own law that it just created a year ago. No, they just said you can do what you want. So that was taken to the U.S. Supreme Court. In a 4-4 decision, they returned it to Pennsylvania. So the state of Pennsylvania has committed electoral fraud against 7 million Pennsylvania voters, including moi. I said it before the election, and I say it today, and I stand by it. Never mind all these other situations with whistleblowers coming forward about election fraud, or the 859,000 ballots in Philadelphia County and in Allegheny County, predominantly Democratic counties, in which the observers were denied the opportunity to see the ballots when they were counted. That violated election law, that violated policy, that violated a judge's order to the state of Pennsylvania, which, by the way, in the midst of the election day, the Attorney General of Pennsylvania, who's supposed to represent all of us and care about the sanctity of all our votes, filed a countersuit to get that judge's decision set aside, requiring him to allow election observers who were approved before the election to be present to observe the ballots. Why is the Attorney General of Pennsylvania seeking to prevent people from watching the ballots? People who are authorized to watch the ballots as they're counted. Why is he doing that on election day if there's nothing to hide? Write your paper about the fraud. Look at the Pennsylvania law and look how Pennsylvania violated the law. It'll be difficult to find sourcing because the media has covered this up. But I attended meetings with local election officials before the election, 2 weeks before the election, after this case was settled and sent back to the state. And we asked questions. Well, if there's no postmark, how do we know when the ballot comes in? You don't. If there's no postmark, how do we know that people voted by election day when they're supposed to vote? We don't. So in theory, people could wait to see the outcome. And if they're Trump supporters and they're falling behind, they could all vote for Trump and mail in their ballot, those who have the ballot, when they weren't going to vote at all. And vice versa for Biden. Yes. Well, that's not legit. We don't vote when it suits our fancy. We don't vote because it's a nice idea. Oh, it's Tuesday. Let's go vote for president. No, we vote on the first Tuesday of November every 4 years for president of the United States. Case closed. Case closed. None of this BS about mail-in ballots. We had to have mail-in ballots because it wasn't safe because of COVID. Remember that bullshit? Then why are they standing around dancing in the streets, hugging each other with no mask on in D.C.? I thought it was unsafe because of COVID. They couldn't go to the polling stations a week ago, but today it's magic? What a bunch of nonsense. The entire purpose of the mail-in ballots was to undermine the sanctity of the election. And it worked. It worked. It did wildly successful. Wildly successful. Can you do a show about how easy it is to pull off voter fraud and how it relates to South Africa? Here, they're just by a metric ton of pop and wars. Bobby, I've talked tons about elections, not just our elections, because I report on elections throughout the year. I reported on elections in, not Mali, wherever we had elections this year. I'm trying to remember now. All the countries in Africa where there have been elections, I've pretty much been doing reports on their elections as the year went along. And I tend to do that on my stream. But I can just remind me of it again at some point. It's late at night now. Why are they protesting? They think Biden is the president. Maya Dolph 1313, all this plus thousands of votes that were Biden were only votes. The vast majority of people will vote on their other positions and propositions. No down ballot votes, just Biden without. Yeah, that's also very strange. It's not impossible to see people to go in and just vote for one candidate for the president and that's it. But it's highly unusual, particularly with this very intense campaign by the Republicans and by the Democrats to get people to vote straight party this time. That was the mantra throughout the nation, vote straight party. This is so important. That means that most people will go in and vote. If they vote straight party, they'll just vote for multiple cases. But that didn't happen this time. Also, the Republicans have gained seats in the House. That's almost unprecedented to see the opposition party win seats and its chief executive lose. The power of incumbency is incredibly powerful. Look how useless and how utterly failed Obama was, yet still won the election in 2012. Still won. Power of incumbency. That doesn't mean an incumbent's going to win. Jimmy Carter lost. George Bush lost. But of course, George Bush's loss was a fraudulent loss because, James Carville lied and people fell for it. If anyone would like to contribute information to this thesis, please email. You can't put your email in there, Atropa. I'm going to leave it up for a second, but I don't usually let emails. My moderators. Let's cut a break there very quickly to Belladonna because Belladonna's working paper. But Belladonna, we don't allow email addresses or phone numbers to appear in the chat. So we're going to delete that in just a moment. I'll give people a chance to get a copy of it very quickly. But I'll give you a moment. We're going to delete that. I don't want your email in here. And free T-shirts and, Streetwise meals from KFC. Every election ANC is guaranteed votes. Yep. Lisa Parkinson, she absolutely is Jerry. George lost. George lost. It's about 10 million people who guarantee ANC every election. I don't know if it's 10 million. I think the ANC's guaranteed base is about 6 to 7 million. That's my thoughts on it. Bobby says, thanks. It's so easy to get away with fraud here. I only obey the king. All South African politicians must be jailed. Anyway, so, okay. Char Freehan just subscribed. Folks, if you're watching the stream, you're not a regular subscriber to Chris White Africa, and you're not a troll, please feel free to become a subscriber. Smash the subscription button right down there, right down there, right over there. And be sure to toggle the bell icon. Only about 25 to 30% of people bother to toggle the bell icon. And YouTube doesn't update them. Like, how come I never got an update? Well, you didn't toggle the bell icon. And even so, that's not a guarantee. The only way to get guaranteed about most streams coming through is if you have the YouTube app on your mobile device. If you have it on there, YouTube will send you a notification 30 minutes before a video premieres, or we have a live stream. So do that. Yeah, Hank says, please subscribe and like the stream. Yeah, please do both, folks. Give me a like on this stream. It is late at night here. It is 11:30 at night. I expected to be working on my slides for my teaching on Thursday and Friday. Carol Dickinson just subscribed. Thank you for that, Carol. We're trying to push and get some more subscriptions here tonight. Thank you so much. I'll do a little e-begging here, a little subscriptions. I haven't tried to sell any merchandise tonight, and maybe I should try to sell some merchandise too. But anyway, so please become a subscriber and consider becoming a paid member if you like. Paid members, the membership at costs virtually nothing. If you're in North America, it's $2 a month, $1.99 for the basic level membership. It's $4.99 for the mid-level and $9.99 for the top level master and commander. And I do that kind of based on the military theme. That's recruit team member at the entry level, then it's platoon leader at the next level, then master and commander. And yes, I know that's a naval reference, but I love that movie with Russell Crowe. Anyway, so that kind of gets you supporting the channel financially if you'd like to do that, but there's no need to support it financially if you aren't able to, unwilling, or uninterested. There's no problem. Just become a subscriber. Tracy Valdez has just subscribed. Thank you very much. Appreciate getting all the subscriptions. I think a lot of people must have tuned in because they must have gotten fed the link from YouTube telling them about this, because I was talking about Kayleigh McEnany and how Neil Cavuto censored her content earlier. The press secretary for the President of the United States, for the White House, censored her, saying that he couldn't countenance continuing. This is what Neil Cavuto said earlier. She's charging the other side as welcoming fraud and illegal voting. Unless she has more details to back that up, I can't in good countenance continue to show you this. And he canceled her right there. He cut it off. Fox News, fraudulent fake news. That's what they are, the fraudulent news network, the fake news network. Only a handful of programs left on that channel, a handful of journalists who are actually legitimate journalists. T424s, come on. Folks, Newsmax, check it out. Folks, Parler, Vice Twitter, check out Parler, Parler, check it out. When Criado comes along, which is an alternative studio headquartered in Wyoming, which we're producing television, movies, also have social media sites, things like YouTube. When Criado comes along in 2021, hopefully, I recommend you take a look at that. I am in line to be one of the early content providers on that network once it comes up. So looking forward to Criado. I hope it does happen. Very excited about that. Jerry Vita says they think they're in control. Look how the shadow government came out of hiding. The best is yet to come, says Solomon Torres. I hope so, Solomon. And this is going to be an interesting week. It is, Andre Zed. It'll be a very interesting week this week. And Willem Vicospeed says, excellent stream, Colonel. Got to shower now. Be at the airport in an hour. Okay, safe flight there, Willem. Be careful. Midoff1313 says, is it true that according to early voting, it was almost statistically impossible for Biden to come back and win 7 states in a matter of hours? Yes and no. Yes and no. It's not statistically impossible for Biden to come back and win a bunch of states in so many hours, because if some states counted all the ballots before the election day, the mail-in ballots, because they had to be in the day before or something like that, and they counted them, they had them ready, then they could have announced the results within 7 hours. But what's fishy here is that Trump was ahead in all those states, and then voting stopped, and then when the voting was restarted, he was behind in many of the states instantly. And that's not itself fishy, because Biden could theoretically have gotten a lot of the votes. But what's fishy is that in order for that to happen, Biden had to get 80 to 85% of the votes in those states. That's simply impossible. There's not a single state except for maybe Hawaii. Let's see. Hawaii. What's Hawaii say? I'm on the wrong map. I got to get to the New York Times map or the other one here. Let me see. Okay, Hawaii. Even Hawaii, Joe Biden only has 63% of the vote. In Maine, he has 50%. In New York, he has 55% of the vote. California, he has 65% of the vote. Even in the states where Biden is the strongest, he doesn't have more than 65% of the vote. So it's impossible for him to have gotten so many mail-in ballots, especially when the media lied about this, folks. Let me do this very quickly. The media lied about this. The media put this narrative out there for 2 weeks before the election. I listened to this. The Democrats have a strong lead in the mail-in ballots because 2/3 of the ballots in all the states, the 9 battleground states, 2/3 of them are registered Democrats, 1/3 are Republicans. So the Democrats will have a big lead. Don't trust the Trump lead on election day. Don't trust the Trump lead because it will quickly be overwhelmed when the mail-in ballots are counted. Now, there's a couple problems with that. Number one, that's a fake news story. In the 9 battleground states, we're talking about places like Arizona, Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, places like that. In those battleground states, only one state had 2-to-1 advantage for Democrats, and that was Pennsylvania. 2 out of 3 mail-in ballot requests were from registered Democrats in the state. So that's true. In every other state, it was almost even, or Republicans actually had, in the other 8 states of the 9 battleground states, Republicans actually held a lead in registered Republicans versus registered Democrats who requested early mail-in ballots. Okay? 4 of the states, the Democrats had a lead. But never was that lead more than 55 or 57 to 43. Never was it 2/3. Only in Pennsylvania. 1 state. So that's fraudulent. There's no way that in a state where Joe Biden had 50, or Democrats had 55% of the mail-in ballots and the Republicans had 45%, that the Republicans mysteriously didn't mail their ballots in or they all voted for Joe Biden. How does Joe Biden get 80 to 85% of the mail-in ballots in a state where 45% of the people who requested them were Republicans? Trump has a 91% approval rating in the Republican Party. Jessica's just given a $5 super chat. 70 million people pissed off. No cities destroyed. Good night all. Bye, Donkey Chris. Jessica, you're welcome. That's a very good point. No cities destroyed. No riots. We haven't attacked or murdered anybody. We haven't burned anything down. We haven't threatened anybody. Nobody's attacked anyone based on their gender or sexual preference or their religion or faith or skin color. Not one bit of that. Not one bit of that. But you see, the Democrats are the party of riots. 1968. Remember those riots? Democratic National Convention? That's the Democrats. They are the party of riots. Look at all this year. Minneapolis, Portland, Seattle. The list goes on and on. The party of riots is the Democrats. The party of chaos, the party of a lack of law and order is the Democratic Party. That's who you have. So there you go, folks. The mail-in ballots, there's no way that they got 85% of the ballots in every state. That's what's implausible. Not that they could have, got a bunch of votes. Also, Wisconsin. At 3:30 in the morning, I called the race for Donald Trump after Wisconsin's data was updated on the Associated Press site, which said that 92% of the ballots were counted in Wisconsin and that Donald Trump had a 230,000 vote lead. Wisconsin announced they weren't counting ballots. That was at 3:30. I didn't go to bed. I started working on other things. At 4:30, after they said they stopped counting ballots, suddenly Joe Biden gained 100,000 votes, 120,000 votes, and Trump didn't get a single vote. What the hell is that all about? That's statistically impossible. That is impossible. There's no way that nobody voted for Donald Trump among 120,000 ballots. Media, Twitter, Google, and the withholding the truth. Christian Fundervat. Cusper, the MS mainstream media is reporting on riots in U.S. streets is suddenly extremely subdued as opposed to a week ago. My suspicions of riots and protests are continuing. I'm not aware of them because the media's not reporting them. They're certainly not here. There are protests, but they're peaceful protests by Trump supporters. In Philadelphia at the Convention Center, in Harrisburg at the state capitol, Republicans and Trump supporters have been out demonstrating all week and the thousands, and they just stopped covering it because they wanted to cover it up. Werkzeug Schlagzeug, that's an interesting username. The future is states' rights, reduce central government, let people move to where they agree. AJ Lewis, Dominion is a can of worms. Yep, they don't want to touch that. Atropia Belladonna, didn't a rally of Trump supporters kill 4 people trying to drive Biden's bus off the road? Not that Dems are any better, but Trump voters are definitely violent as well. Okay, that's insulting, Belladonna. I'm a Trump supporter. I'm not violent. Trump supporters are violent? What kind of nonsense is that? Where is this at? What state? When did it happen? You can't just make that claim. Trump supporters are violent? Seriously? Seriously? Sorry, Belladonna. That's trolling. You're just throwing stuff out there without, didn't this? It takes all of a minute to do a Google search to find the story you're talking about, if such a story exists. Why can't you just do that? Go to Google in your browser, type in what you claim is a story, look up the facts, and come in and say, hey, in Arkansas on this date, these, instead of just throwing it in the chat. That's nonsense. Nobody died in the fender bender. Thank you for... Those are Chinese characters. That's Mandarin. That is not Japanese. I thought it was Japanese for a moment. Actually, it's a mix of things. It looks like it's Mandarin, mathematical characters, Korean, or Thai. It's Thai. I'm confused. Nobody died in that fender bender. I have no idea what you're writing here. Fed said it was a Biden van doing the damage. See, there you go. Where's the proof of those 4 deaths? Exactly. Fake news deleted that out. Let me refine. Radical Trump supports and radical lefties are both violent. Who? Give me an example of a radical Trump supporter. Or give me a radical Biden supporter that's violent. Fair enough. Give me one. Give me one from both. That's just an empty statement. An empty statement. What I can say with no doubt is that leftists are violent. They declared secession from the United States. There are secessionists. They are treasonous. Leftists out on the West Coast declared Chaz, a self-declared autonomous zone. And when they realized that they could be tried for sedition and treason, suddenly it was not a zone. It was just, just to get together. And what else did they do after they declared a self-declared autonomous zone? They declared a racially segregated part of the autonomous zone. Only black folks can go here. That's right. You all stay out here. Only black folks. That's right. Nobody else. What the hell was the civil rights movement about? What was all this equality and equality for everyone and equal treatment before the law? They declare their own little country, which is treason, not prosecuted for it. They then segregate their own little country, and we're supposed to believe that the lefties are soft and lovely and cuddly. They love everybody. They do. These are the same lefties in their vile effort last year or when the year before when Kavanaugh was in the lefties said, well, did you notice that Lindsey Graham is a closet homosexual? First off, who cares if Lindsey Graham is homosexual? Conservatives don't give a flip. It's his business if he is. And why are you threatening to out him? Isn't that vile? Isn't that insensitive? Isn't that bigotry? Of course it is. But that's the left. What about the guy who shot the Trump supporter in Portland? What about the people who shot the black 60-year-old Trump supporter in Milwaukee on his stoop? Shot him dead because he wore a Trump hat and had Trump signs in his yard. A known Trump supporter, black man, 60. Thought Black Lives Mattered. Almost no coverage of that. What about that poor kid, Kyle Rittenhouse, who's now sitting in jail when people tried to murder him in the street? And he showed incredible restraint. He could have killed dozens of people. The only people shot at are people who tried to kill him. Another guy advanced on him, and the guy put his hands up. And in the heat of shooting, Rittenhouse did not shoot him because he realized the person was no longer a threat. A 16-year-old kid in jail because of leftists who attacked him. A kid who was running around helping people who were injured, left and right, in Kenosha, Wisconsin. It's something that never should have happened by the terrorist group, domestic terrorist group, Black Lives Matter. Chris is 100% correct. Thank you, Toothless Bulldog. If you're not a subscriber to Chris White Africa, folks, hey, take a second to become a subscriber. Costs you nothing. Introductory price today of $0, 0 cents, 0 shekels, 0 rand, 0 rubles. For you Russian influencers out there, no rubles. We don't charge rubles to Russians. You can be a subscriber for free. Barbara Kiwi says Black Trucks Lives Matters. Bus incident. One white Biden SUV drove into black trucks lane. Exactly. Peter Roberts, if you need a laugh, watch Parliament in South Africa. Oh, yeah, I've watched plenty of Parliament in South Africa with the prison suit wearing economic freedom fighters acting like buffoons in Parliament. I've seen it. Michael Miller says, good stuff. I'll be back. An opinion on the claim Trump is reincarnation of George Patton. I've never heard that. Never heard that. That's an odd one. I don't think so. I don't believe reincarnation. I'm not Shirley MacLaine or Buddhist. Nice try. It was funny as hell. I live in Texas. No laws were broken at all. They were driving on the road next to them, but that was all. Alpha says, why does white people always... What was that? Oh, Alpha's message got deleted. Let me read what Alpha was reading and somebody deleted it. So, why do white people always talk about riots? Why is there riots? White people have nothing to riot about. This country was made for you, not for blacks. You hate blacks, only for fairness cry. All right, Alpha, what kind of jackass are you? Who hates blacks? Am I not white? Have I not spent the vast majority of my adult life improving the quality of life for black Africans across Africa? 600,000 people in Southern Africa are alive today because I took the time and had the audacity to write a report for the President of the United States which prevented a widespread famine. Brought peace and security to Liberia after a 13-year civil war. Convinced the government of Botswana to stop spying on its citizens with its military. Shall I go on? Hate black people? Nobody hates black people. You have a small mind, Alpha. Either you're a troll or you're very poorly informed. Why do white people always talk about riots? Because they're riots, genius. You think that the burning and looting of the police station in Minneapolis was a braai? Do you think they just all went there to fry up their bourgeois? That's what it was about? Hey, guys, let's go to the police station. Let's chase the police out of there, and we'll burn it down because we don't have any charcoal for our braai. We'll just use a police station. What kind of idiotic, racist nonsense are you spewing here, Alpha? White people have nothing to riot about. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? That's not even germane. Nobody has anything to riot about. Nobody. It's disorder. This country was made for you, not for blacks. Which country? South Africa or America? What are you talking about? Both countries are for everyone. You hate blacks, only for fairness cry. You were removed for a reason, Alpha, because you're trolling racist nonsense. It's not welcome here. Not welcome here. Bye-bye. Facts, Barb. What's that all about, Jason? In October, homemade pipe bombs at prominent critics of Trump across the country, and the CNN, the cable news network station most frequently derided by the president. Okay. And what's your point? What's your point, Atropa? What do you see, Atropa? You're doing mild trolling here, but that's fine. Don't take Atropa out. Atropa is having a little fun here. What's your point? You said Trump supporters are violent. I'm not violent. I voted for Trump twice. I'm not violent. So who did Ted Kaczynski vote for? John Wayne Gacy? Louis Farrakhan? Who did they vote for? Those are violent people. Toothless Bulldog 2.0. Alpha, you got yourself deleted there. Yeah, Rittenhouse. I don't see the problem with pardoning people, Casper, is the president can't pardon. Well, I better not speak on that. I'll just hold off on that. Biden hates black people. On that one, I don't know that he hates black people. He's certainly a racist. That's for sure. What about the girl they shot in the head because she said all lives matter? They waited for her. Soros plays a lot. It's all great stuff. But when are you going to jump into this, into the mainstream media transmitters? I have no idea what you're saying, Gunner. Braveheart. What is Braveheart? God bless EFF. Oh, you're so sad. Philip Faustman, it's dangerous to call their ideologies fellow Americans terrorists. How so, Philip Faustman? So you're claiming that Antifa is not a domestic terrorist organization? It's been designated one by the federal government. Or are you taking issue with me saying that Black Lives Matter is a domestic terrorist organization? It's a racist organization that demands black supremacy and racial superiority. It demands that people bow before it by taking a knee. Otherwise, they beat up your cars. They paint your homes. They attack you in the streets. They doxy you. That's not terrorism. That is, in fact, terrorism. It's meant to cow people into behavior. Powered Lemonade's laughing his butt off. I don't know why. Yeah, so I'm not sure where you're going, Philip Faustman. Please explain. Cal, escapee, Biden hates black people. Again, that came back. I don't know if that's true. Agency formed by a woman who wanted to eliminate people of color. Seriously, in New York, more black people. Oh, well, here you go. Yeah, that's right. Planned Parenthood. Yes, okay. We could just get into the whole conversation about, the genocide about black Americans. The reason that black Americans are only 13.5% of the population and haven't grown as a percentage of population is because nearly 300,000 black children are murdered each and every year through abortion. It's no small wonder that the majority of Planned Parenthood clinics in this country are located near minority neighborhoods, in and around minority neighborhoods. Easy access for minorities to terminate the lives of their children. You don't find them in rural America where whites live, or in suburban America where whites live. You find some, but not many. The lives that Margaret Sanger wanted terminated were black lives. Because black lives don't matter. Certainly not to Black Lives Matter. If they did, they would be talking about black on black violence. They'd be talking about family unit cohesion. 78% of black children in this country are born out of wedlock to single-parent mothers. Not Denmark or Sweden where people are unmarried, but they cohabitate and two parents raise a child. They are raised by the street or by their grandparents or grandmother and their mother who can't do it all. 78% of black children in this country. That's just a fact. But they don't want to talk about that. Black Lives Matter. They don't want to talk about the victimization culture that they perpetuate in black America, in a country where anybody can be anything they want to be, despite the lies that are told by these racist bigots. So I'm not really sure what the point was there. Insurrection Act is coming, maybe. Based. What's based? Powdered Lemonade, when you write based and a question mark with an exclamation point, nobody knows what the heck you're talking about, man. You didn't put an @ symbol in response to someone who said something. And if it's to me, you just fortunately I happen to see it because I see this orange avatar over there. You got to put @Chris White if you want me to actually respond to it. I think it's safe to say that the coastal elites, those who are obviously corrupt, use people of color as cannon fodder. It's obviously sickening. I agree. Interesting to watch how quickly Dems called Biden president via the media before waiting for official results. Classic crowd manipulation. Yep. Radical Trump supporter kills 40. M. Clark kills 40. What the hell's a 40? What's a 40, M. Clark? What's a 40? What the hell's a 40? Please explain. Free Julian Assange. Oh, we got all kinds of trolls in here now. Julian Assange is a criminal. He will not be freed. And he will be prosecuted if he comes to America. That's for damn sure. And that's what he deserves, prosecution. BLM has also been tied to Progressive Communist Party organization in Los Angeles. They have been, of course. White women get abortions, babe. Lonnie Tillman. Yeah, okay. And what is your point? What is your point? White women with abortions still maintain reproduction rate, but that's not the case for the black community. The only reason the black community stays static at 13.5% is because of interracial marriage and the immigration of black Africans to this country. It's the only, and people from the Caribbean of color. Only reason the black population, otherwise it'd be declining as a percentage of the U.S. population. 300,000 babies per year in a population of roughly 45 million. What is your point? Asian women also have abortions. What is your point, Lonnie Tillman? And why the insulting all caps? Are you desperate to be heard, Lonnie? White women get abortions. Of course they do. What's it got to do with anything? Belladonna says, if anyone can achieve anything, then why have black people failed to reach the same level as white people, even though it's been generations since slavery? Well, first off, that's an incredibly insulting statement that black people haven't achieved. Lots of black people achieved. Robert Johnson is a billion. Well, he's not worth $1 billion now. He's worth $600 million. But he became a billionaire, founding his own television network, BET. Magic Johnson's a billionaire. Oprah Winfrey's a billionaire. The list goes on and on and on. Ken Chenault ran American Express. Lots of black people succeed. And do you know what the consistent thing about them is? They grew up in a two-parent family. Families of faith, in which they learn values and mores. We had on my channel Earl Weber, a Jamaican immigrant who came to America, was subjected to the horrible school districts in Baltimore because his family moved to Baltimore when he escaped Jamaica at the age of 15. He said the thing that struck him the most is in Jamaica when he was there, you know, even though it was poor and it was dangerous in Jamaica, everybody competed to be the best student. He got to America and he went to schools in Baltimore, and all the black kids were all about who could be the biggest dumbass and cause the most chaos in class. Academic achievement was unimportant to these people. And he said his classmates who finished high school with him, most of them didn't graduate, who were in high school with him in Baltimore, almost all of them are dead through violence in inner cities. Why do black Americans not succeed? Because they wallow in self-pity, many of them. Black immigrants are successful in this country. Now I'm going to get pissed off here over this stupid-ass question. Where's it at? Belladonna, this is a dumbass question. A dumbass question. It shows complete ignorance and low expectations for the black community. 3 million black Africans have come here since 1990 as immigrants to this country. They've all succeeded. There have been a few failures, but almost all succeeded. How is that if there's institutional racism, if everything is stacked against them? It isn't. That's bullshit. That's a leftist freaking lie, and I'm sick of it. I lived in all black communities. I don't want to hear that nonsense. It's BS. People can be anything they want to be in this country. The lies from the Atlantic, from the leftist media about upward mobility is over. It's nonsense. I grew up without electricity and fetched water from a cistern. Give me this nonsense. You can't have upward mobility. You have to be a responsible adult. You have to have entrepreneurial drive. You have to have ambition. And that isn't born from victimization and wallowing in victimization and glorifying gangsterism and being father of countless children by multiple mothers. Now, that is not the entire black community, but that is the popular black community. That is what is portrayed in the media. Hollywood reinforces this. I don't want to hear this nonsense about blacks can't succeed in this America. The Secretary of Health and Human Services is a heart surgeon, a renowned pediatric heart surgeon, a black man, successful. The list goes on and on. The fact that some people choose to wallow in victimhood and not take responsibility for their actions does not excuse the bullshit story that people can't be successful in this country. It's a lie. It's an utter lie. And these people are successful without people handing things to them. They don't need people to give them things. I'm sick of this nonsense. Reducing an entire group of people in an ethnic group to failure because it suits your political narrative. That's utter nonsense. Utter nonsense. It's bullshit. Powder Lemonade says base means you're down to earth. Yeah, I got it, but I didn't understand. You put base with a question mark, dude. So I know what base means. I know the terminology, but I didn't understand what you mean by base with a question mark. That one lost me. Mangy Vaman says goodbye. Well, goodbye. Did you leave because you're unhappy? Alpha says you really missed the point. No, you missed the point because you're not listening. SEAL Team 6 violent Trump supporters. What the hell is that? Toothless Bulldog says 26% of blacks voted for Trump. He did really good. I didn't see the number of people who voted for black or Hispanics for Trump, but 26% would be awesome. It composed of 9% last time. That's 2.5 times, almost 3 times better than what he had last time. Abortion should never use the form of birth control. That's right. Thank you for speaking the truth, says Carol Dickinson. You're welcome. But you see that trolls come on here and try to deny the truth. Ben Carson's Barbara Kiwi has corrected me, and she is right. I did say Ben Carson's, but did I say his name? No, I didn't. But I did say he was Health and Human Services. You are correct. He is at the Housing and Urban Development. That is correct. You are correct, Barbara. I stand corrected. In my anger over the bullshit comment, I misspoke. Bush won by 500 votes, please. No, he didn't, Agent Orange. Won what by 500 votes? Won Florida? He won by over 1,500 votes. You got your numbers wrong. Lisa Parkinson, equal outcome is communism. What about Arizona and Nevada, all the popular vote? Well, they're not done. Arizona is at 98%, and Biden is up by 15,000 now. It keeps dropping. When I started this stream 2 hours ago, he's up by almost 17,000. Now he's up by 15,000. Remember, Arizona's 3 hours behind us, so it's about 9 o'clock there, and so they're probably going to stop counting for the night. So the 360,000 vote lead with 82% of the vote counted in Arizona has been reduced from 360,000 to just 15,000 now. 15,000. So Trump has gained 345,000 votes to Biden's gain since they started counting at 82% to get to 98%. So 16% of the vote, Trump has gained 325,000 votes. Is that right? Yeah, whatever it is. Trolls will never engage. They only want to disrupt. Exactly. They found the glitch in Wisconsin. I wouldn't be surprised, but we'll see what happens there. They still have that at 20,000 ahead for Biden. Well, I have to go. Take care, Power Lemonade. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. If you're not a subscriber, take a second to become a subscriber, man. Why not? 4 million more voters. I don't know what that's all about. Even Fox News gets it. Trump increased his support amongst all minorities, yet still the election fraud models to produce a stash of votes from the inner city that's 100% Democrat. Exactly right. How does Trump get 6% of the black vote when most black folks live in the inner city, yet the inner city 100% goes? So did Trump get only rural black votes? Jason Clark, here in North Carolina, you didn't have to show any identification as long as I knew someone's name and address, kept voting all day long. Exactly, Jason. And see, this is a problem with elections. And of course, the left tries this nonsense. Well, it's voter suppression when you tell people that they have to have ID. How? When you go to Walmart to pick up your prescription or CVS or Walgreens to get your prescription drugs, you must produce identification. Every black American that goes to Walmart to pick up their medications must have an ID card. They must pull out the ID card and show, I am James Rocketson. James Rocketson, that's me right here. Let me get my heart medication. Every American who goes to a bank and cashes a check must show identification issued by the state or the federal government. I'm here. I'm James Rocketson. I want to cash this check. Identification, please. But you can show up to a voting polling station. I'm James Rocketson. Okay. No identification. Here in Pennsylvania, I wasn't required to show identification either. I was gobsmacked. Now, I went and voted in the primary for the first time since 1988 because I had not been a member of a political party since 1988. In 1989, I became a commissioned officer in the Army, and I abandoned political party affiliation, and that prevented me from voting in primaries because in Ohio, you can only vote in a primary if you're a member of a registered political party, which is fair because why should I get to vote in someone else's primary? Because the primaries are for the party to select their candidate for the general election. So I've been denied access to a primary since 1988. I voted this year for the first time ever because I became a registered Republican when I registered to vote in late 2019 after the election. And so I registered in Pennsylvania, and I'm a registered Republican now. So I voted in June. It was supposed to be in May, but it wound up being June or April. So it was in June because of COVID. I went and I voted for the first time in Pennsylvania, and it was in a primary. I was required to show identification because it was the first time I ever voted in Pennsylvania. Now, I registered to vote, and this is the first time I went to actually vote, so they asked for identification. When I went on Tuesday last week, no identification. Now, I don't play that game. Homie don't play that nonsense. So I produced my identification. I showed it to them and said, this is me. And they looked and they said, okay, great. But then they saw that I already voted. They said, sir, you didn't have to produce identification. I said, yeah, and that's the problem with this state. That's fraudulent. That is fraudulent. North Carolina, same thing. It's fraud. Yeah, please subscribe to the stream, folks. What did Javier say? Lisa Parkinson, they absolutely have IDs to buy alcohol. Exactly. You have to have an ID to buy cigarettes, to buy alcohol, to get medication, to cash a check. But suddenly you magically don't need one. It's only suppression of someone when you ask them to do the most sacred thing in a democracy, and that is choose your leadership and your legislators to vote on issues. That's the only time it's suddenly a problem. It's not a problem. You have to have an ID card, or it is a problem. It's not a problem for alcohol. It's not a problem for cigarettes. It's not a problem for driving. It's not a problem for medication pickup or cashing a check. But boy, that magical moment when you want to go vote, then apparently black people are too stupid or too lazy or too ignorant to get driver's license. That's what the left wants you to think. And they get away with it. All these states that don't require identification at the polling station are shameful. And I've said this for years. It's disgraceful. It cheapens the vote. We know lots of criminals and illegals vote in every election. Barbara says, in PA, you have to prove your identity by forging a signature that's right there in front of your face on the same page. Well, you have to sign, and the signature's upside down, Barbara, but I get your point. Yeah, it's pretty weird. It's pretty weird. I used to be a Democrat until Donald came along, toothless bulldog. Well, don't become a Republican because of Donald, because Republicans aren't with him, but support Donald, that's cool. Midoff1313 says, you think Arizona will be flipped? I do. 2% ballots plus the military ballots are coming in. I guarantee you that 60% of the military ballots, no doubt, are for Trump. Probably in this election, it might be as high as 75%, but traditionally Republicans get 60%. Dion Hayes just subscribed. Thank you for your subscription. Yeah, so there you go, folks. Atropia belladonna. American politics is completely screwed. Your positions need actual accountability. Your positions need accountability, and your politicians shouldn't write laws themselves. Well, I don't agree with that, Atropia. I don't disagree with that, Atropia. I'm sorry. For once, Atropia belladonna, you and I are in agreement on that. That what you say is actually something we can agree on. It's absolutely true. Now you need travel ID. Yeah, you have to have ID to travel. So why can you not have an ID to go to the polling station? Voter ID is needed. It should be. Danny Fanada says the swamp creatures are giving it their all because they know all too well that it would be drained if Trump remains president. Yeah. No, 4 more years of Trump is going to crush them, and that's what they're fearing. Can't wrap my head around the people that can vote without an ID. Isn't it crazy? You have to have an ID in Africa. How can you vote here without an ID? Democrats have kept some cities oppressed. The wards outside Chicago, Baltimore, and Seattle. Some of the cities haven't touched in 30 years. Developers using the opportunity tax zone. Yep. Exactly, Erica. Okay, folks, it is, midnight here. And I've been on for nearly 3 hours. JEKT99 got deleted. Let me see why that person got deleted. Hidden by Erica. Okay, they were being insulting. Well, piss off then, JetK999. Wow, old man. These clowns calling me an old man. I'm younger than a lot of these clowns. Anyway, Arizona is in recount territory. They are in recount territory, most likely. I don't know the law in Arizona, but the percentages are small. 15,000 votes out of 4.5 million cast. Yeah, that's definitely a recount percentage-wise. And let's see what else. Wait, didn't Trump have control of Congress, executive? Why hasn't the swamp been drained past? No, he didn't. Okay, Atropia belladonna, let me get you straight here. First off, Trump did not have control. He had a Republican Senate and House for 2 years, and Paul Ryan led the House, and he intentionally undermined Trump every step of the way because he is a never-Trumper Republican. And the Senate under McConnell undermined Trump on every step of the way, especially with building the wall. The exception having been the judicial appointments. Is the only thing he supported Trump on. Once the House was lost, McConnell started supporting Trump more because he realized what a dangerous situation Republicans found themselves in. And so that was a little bit different. So he never controlled. Why hasn't the swamp been drained the past 4 years? Well, the reason the swamp hasn't been drained, Atropia belladonna, is because the voters must vote them out. Donald Trump doesn't get to fire members of the Congress. He doesn't get to fire the legislature. The voters decide who they are. And if you want to look at a map of that election, House, want to see what that looks like? Here you go, folks. I'll show you what that looks like. Let me get this puppy up here. There you go. Election. Get the New York Times. That's the best map. New York Times. Before we go tonight, New York Times. Here we go. Let me show you this. I'm going to show you the New York Times map and show you what the country looks like from a representative position. Right. The New York Times has now backed off. They have removed something because they only have 279 for Biden. They've taken something off the table too. They had him for 290 as well. They had Arizona. They've pulled Arizona back, the New York Times. So now Biden has 279 after having 290 at the New York Times site. Isn't that interesting? 45 votes out there. And they've got Biden at 279. So there you go, folks. There you go. Interesting. Pennsylvania's been taken off the map by Real Clear Politics, and now Arizona's been taken off the map by the New York Times, which had given it to Joe Biden. But let's look at the House races, folks. I'm going to do that before we go. Okay, there are 21 seats remaining. The Democrats have 216 that have been declared for the Democrats by the media, not by the states, and 198 for the Republicans. But let's show you this map. Let me show you what this map looks like, folks. Okay, this is what the map looks like. I got to get these other windows down so I don't open up the wrong window. Okay, come on here. And then we're going to close up after this because 3 hours is way too much. Fox second screen, and then Logitech. There you go, folks. That's what the electoral map looks like from the House of Representatives. You notice how the entire country is red except for the Northeast, a few pockets in the South, in the Midwest, and Texas and the West Coast. The rest is all red. Look at that, folks. All red. But, of course, there are heavy population concentrations on the coast of California and the Atlantic coast, and that is the reason why you see Ohio is almost entirely Republican. Look at this, folks. Let me zoom in there. That's Ohio. Columbus in the 3rd district. And that's a fake district. Look how they've drawn these lines so that this person can have all these votes. These places aren't even physically connected. So Steve Stivers, that's my former representative. That's where I used to vote right there. He won 63%, the incumbent. He was my congressman. But Ohio has a representative there. Up here in Toledo. Look at that's one district. Look at how that district is hugging. What a joke. That runs all the way to Cleveland. That district in the northern part of Pennsylvania and Ohio runs like this. These people have nothing in common. That's a fake district. Gerrymandered so that a Democrat can be in that seat. And here, that's it. Now let's slide over to Pennsylvania, folks. Here's Pennsylvania. Look at Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh, Allegheny County, and right there, that one's barely won by Connor Lamb. That one's 17 something in the district. The rest of the state is all red. All red. Except for over here. There's a few congressional districts over here that around Philadelphia. This right here. That's it. That's it, folks. That's it. There's the one that Dasha Pruitt was in from here who was with me. Dasha Pruitt, I interviewed her twice. She got beat decisively in the 5th district, but that was expected. It's just below Philadelphia. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pennsylvania has 18 legislators. Guess what? We just won back all the seats that the Democrats took in 2018 and then some. Now it's 11-7 in Pennsylvania for congressional representatives. And let's look at that map for Pennsylvania for president. Give it a moment here, and it'll reload the presidential page. Give it a moment. It's very slow, actually, all of a sudden. President. Look at that. New York Times has lowered it back to 279 for Biden. Come on. Load the damn page. God, that's slow. There we go. Let's zoom in on Pennsylvania, which says it's blue. Okay, now they're not letting me go in. Okay, here we go. Pennsylvania. There we go. Okay, see that? Now we go out. Look at that. Look at that. That's the state of Pennsylvania, right? Come on, get out of there. Okay, that's the state of Pennsylvania. I got to move it over a little bit. There you go. Because of that stupid thing. Look at that. The entire state is blue except for the east and a couple spots like Pittsburgh, Scranton, Lackawanna County, and then here. This is it. That's it. That's Harrisburg. And that's strange. That one there is very strange. Center County, why they go for Biden, that doesn't make any sense. But look at the state. Overwhelmingly, Trump. 75%, 75%, 71%, 71%, 72%, 74%, 71%, 72%, 77%, 75%, 71%, 83%, 77%, 85% for Trump, 70%. In York County, my county, 62% for Trump, 71%, 66, 63, 68, 68, 65. Here, Pittsburgh, Trump loses 60-40. Harrisburg, it's 54-45. Lackawanna County, it's by 6 points there. Yeah, look at that. Overwhelmingly, Trump is way ahead in the state, except for here. Look at that. 80% in Philadelphia. That is the entire difference in the state. And you wonder why when 589,000 ballots in Philadelphia and in Pittsburgh, that's the entire difference in the state, those two cities, the entire difference. Trump wins the state hands down without those two places. Now, you can't just take them away because they're part of the state. But the bottom line is that there's all kinds of silliness going on here with 589,000 ballots not being looked at because election observers were denied access to them. When I went to hand in my ballot, they didn't ask for my ID. They just told me to drop it in the box, and they didn't even care that it was in the yellow envelope. Wasn't in the yellow envelope. What state are you in, Toothless Bull? I don't know what the envelopes look like in Pennsylvania. I just know that they were barcoded, and you had to have the envelope with the barcode on it. It didn't matter. So that was another problem here in Pennsylvania. You are not allowed to accept the mail-in ballot unless it is inside the barcoded envelope. And the reason that matters is because the envelope is coded to the voter, not the ballot. So you cannot accept a ballot unless it had the barcode, because anybody could take a paper ballot and bring it in without the envelope. And that's fraud. I know that's fraud because I participated with election poll observers 2 weeks before the election, and they explained that process to me. All right. I think Arizona will be flipped. Yes. Trump tax is another thing I don't understand. How can you billionaire pay only $750 tax in your country? That's very strange to me. Well, Atropia Belladonna, you're going to keep trolling. Let me help you out with it. First off, fake news. You're a sucker if you believe that. Number one, the New York Times is guilty of criminal acts. It is a felony to reveal the personal tax information of a citizen of this country without their prior approval. Donald Trump did not approve the New York Times releasing his tax returns. So New York Times is complicit in a felony crime that got them the information. Number one, why is media not reporting on that? That is a serious issue. Number two, Donald Trump did pay taxes. The New York Times, if you read their article, which probably almost none of you have done, I read the article. The article on the top fold of the page said that Trump didn't pay taxes in 7 of these 10 years or something like that, or he paid $750 in taxes. If you read below the fold and then open up to the page where it continued on in the paper, you'll find that the New York Times admitted that they were liars by saying that he did not pay federal income tax based on his income. He paid federal income tax based on the alternative minimum tax. The alternative minimum tax taxes people at 39%. It assures that people who are uber wealthy pay taxes, even if they can deduct all these expenses from their taxes. So they are forced to pay a minimum tax. It is a cruel tax that has been sitting at $150,000 per year for decades since it was created in the 1970s. When it was created, $150,000 a year were wealthy people. Today, that's not a wealthy person in this country, 50 years later. So now millions of Americans are subjected to the alternative minimum tax, as is Donald Trump. Many people pay no income tax based on being able to deduct their income, but they are forced to pay the alternative minimum tax. Donald Trump paid $39 million in taxes one of those years and $28 million in taxes the other year. The New York Times correctly identified that he paid $38 or $28 million in one of those years. So it's fiction and lies, and you're a sucker if you fell for it, and it means you didn't read the New York Times article, and you're just someone who falls for fake news. I read the article. The New York Times article gave the facts, but they were lying. They were fraudulent. They wanted to give the impression that Donald Trump never paid any taxes. Number one, by fraudulently getting a hold of his tax information, committing a felony. That's number one. And they're not protected under journalistic freedom for committing a felony. You're not allowed to commit crimes to get your information. You can protect your sources unless they give you information through a criminal act. That's a criminal act. New York Times should be prosecuted for violating law by the Southern District of New York, by the attorney there. That's right. The job that Rudy Giuliani used to have. They should be prosecuted for that, as should their source. Now, Trump paid $28 million and $39 million. That's a lot of tax money. So your $750 is bullshit, Atropia. That's absolute bullshit. It's fake news. Donald Trump disclosed as much in the debate. He told people in 2 of those years he paid that amount. The New York Times admitted it in the paper. The New York Times said he paid $28 million in one of the years. Then Donald Trump fully informed us he paid $28 and $39 million. So he didn't pay $750. That's BS. That's a lie. That's fraudulent fake news. Suckers. Suckers. Janice Sierra, I've done 2 videos about the failure of Fox News this week, one earlier tonight and one last night about Fox News. It's captured. It's a leftist network. It has been for a long time. Need electoral college for each state. I don't know about that, Ron. Just leave Agent Orange. It's not censorship. What's this? It's not censorship for a news station to cut away from a person making completely unproven statements in order to inform their audience that the thing being said is baseless. It is censorship for Neil Cavuto to make an unfounded statement, making the following statement. He determines. He is the arbiter. He's supposed to be a journalist asking questions. Unless she has more details to back that up, I can't in good countenance continue to show this. She just started telling him what the details were when he cut her off. That's fraud. And if you believe that that's legitimate, Just Pass Awesome, you're simply a troll. Simply a troll. We've covered this ground in the last 3 hours. I'm not going to go over it again. You want to hear it again? Tune in for tomorrow's stream. John Boach says, is Kelly Loeffler a swamp creature? Dianne Feinstein certainly smells like one. Kelly Loeffler from Georgia? I don't think so. She was appointed to a position that seat came up for a special by-election. She got the second most votes in it because Doug Collins ciphered away 20% of the votes she should have gotten. And so she and the Democrat will run, and she'll trounce a Democrat in the runoff. Then Perdue will win his also. John Soja says, so then why did he, boy, all kinds of losers can try and trolls coming here. Why did he lose? Why all caps? Why all caps? Are you from the 1960s? Do you not realize all caps is rude and disrespectful? Only Hendo gets all caps on here as a moderator. John Soja. I'll answer your question despite the fact that you're yelling at us. Why did who lose? Donald Trump? He hasn't lost. What are you smoking crack? You're not paying attention? We just covered this. Real Clear Politics has taken Pennsylvania off the column and moving it back. Joaquin Sanchez just subscribed. Thank you for that. Just taken Real Clear Politics in the last 2 hours has taken Biden's 20 electoral votes off the map, and he now is 259 according to Real Clear Politics because Pennsylvania is unsettled, as I said, and there's more to follow. In addition to that, Arizona, Donald Trump has closed the gap from 360,000 votes in a state with just 4.5 million votes. That's nearly 10% of the vote. He's increased nearly 10% of the vote from the time that 82% of the vote was counted. That's an incredible comeback. He's down by just 15,000 votes. And that margin was 17,000 when I started this stream. 98% of the votes counted, plus the military ballots have to come in after that. A lot of military voters in Arizona who are not there right now. So he did not lose. You're a sucker for falling for fake news, John Soja. You actually fell for fake news. The media doesn't declare who the president is. The Electoral College declares. The states certify the results on the 8th of December. 0 states have certified their election returns. States that Donald Trump supposedly won, he could have lost. States that Joe Biden has won, he could have lost. We will find out when the states certify the results. In the meantime, going to be a lot of lawsuits about a lot of fraudulent stuff going on here. Hey, great gal. Okay, lots of people jumping here. Folks, I can't, Erica, guys, my regular audience, I can't stay. I don't have the energy to fight the trolls right now who are just playing games here. We've been clear about what's going on. This stream was about Neil Cavuto censoring the press secretary from the White House, Kayleigh McEnany, because he disagreed with her. Neil Cavuto is a jackass. He's a bloviating jackass. I thought he was a decent business reporter, but he's proven that he's a feckless, bloviating jackass in the past couple of years. And I still gave him a pass when he became a never Trumper, simply stating obvious things were nonsense. This is BS. Cutting her off, saying that, well, she can't back that up, then I can't continue. Well, she was backing it up when you cut her off. I didn't know you cut her off until I read it in multiple news streams afterwards. I watched what she had to say. They laid out the case, including the affidavits from poll workers in Milwaukee, Detroit, Philadelphia, and other places, and the fact that the Pennsylvania officials prevented authorized poll watchers from watching 859,000 ballots be counted. Why does that matter? Because Pennsylvania violated election law by allowing no postmark, signatures that don't match the ballot, and for votes to come in days after the election in violation of Pennsylvania law. That's why it matters. Case closed. Mic drop. Leftists piss off. Trolls piss off. You don't know what you're talking about. Your ass hurt because you're going to see this turned in the other direction. And then you're going to scream fraud. Go ahead and scream fraud. There has been fraud. And it's being exposed as we talk. I've been exposing Pennsylvania's fraud since before the election. From 3 weeks ago when I learned about this fraud and the extent of it, I've been exposing it. John Solomon said, okay, that's Lisa Case. I don't do fake news. Center Blue is a state park. It is, yeah, but people live in the county, so bedtime. Hope you don't have troll nightmares. I won't. Get news off Newsmax. It's truthful and unbiased. Drop Fox News. Yeah, watch my video earlier. I called fraudulent news, fake news network, Fox News. Yep. Who's paid for buying to be on TV and radio 24/7 every 15-20 minutes? Biden has. His campaign did. Amen, brother. Only one faith says preach it. I agree. Neil should never have cut Kayleigh McEnany. Here's the thing, Toothless Bulldog. If what Kayleigh McEnany had to say was fraudulent, then she runs the risk of being exposed for being a fraud. It's not Neil Cavuto's job to censor her. Why? See, you sick, bag-headed freaking leftists who come here with your nonsense, think about this for a second. If Kayleigh McEnany is spewing fake news, let her step all over her crank. You'll be able to expose her. You'll be able to prove that she made it up. What are you afraid of? You're afraid of the truth. That's what you're afraid of. You're afraid of sunshine, disinfecting this scum, mold-filled friggin' Pennsylvania election. That's what you're afraid of. And you come here and spew your nonsense. Well, it doesn't work on this channel. It doesn't work. If Biden had won Pennsylvania, I would have called it fraud too. If Trump wins Pennsylvania, I call it fraud too. Pennsylvania's election must be set aside, or the 859,000 ballots that were not allowed to be seen must be, as Samuel Judge Alito from the Supreme Court directed, segregated and set aside so the observers can go in after the fact with the election poll officials and both of them look at all these ballots and manually count them. That's what should be done at a minimum. Or the vote should just be thrown out altogether because we've been defrauded as a people in the state. We've been defrauded from the get-go. 3 weeks ago, we were defrauded by a criminal behavior by officials in the state. That's right. Anyway, that's it, folks. 3 hours and 4 minutes. Thanks for tuning in. God bless. I'll be on twice tomorrow, and I got to start setting up my guests to come on the channel. I'm going to reach out to Victor Matfield and others. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Have a good night. This was an unexpected 3-hour stream. Got a big audience now. I'm not just here for the audience. Edward Nixon, you're being insulting or what? She's been lying forever. Who's been lying forever? Okay. Yeah, okay. Edward Nixon, you're just a troll. Goodbye. Bye-bye. You're gone. Lisa says these people are not worth your time and energy. And Edward Nixon just found that out. You're blocked on this channel now. You disgusting, vile troll. Only one face says I'm subbing now. Was that you that just subbed? I didn't see it because I was reading the chat. And then Maya Adolf 3111313 subscribe. Thanks a lot for subscribing, folks. Really, everybody tuned in who came in who was not a troll, wanted to have a legitimate discussion about what's happening. Thank you so much for that. Whatever your thoughts on this election, whether you think that it's legitimate, whether there's fraud or not, I think everyone should be disturbed by the fact that Neil Cavuto took it upon himself to censor the press secretary of the White House because he disagreed with something she said as she made her opening comments. He cut her off and said, unless she can provide more details to back that up, I can't continue this. How do you know? She did provide, Charles Cadet Sawadogo, just subscribe. Thank you for that. She did provide those facts. But of course, your viewers didn't get to see it. I had to watch it online. I wasn't watching Fox News because other than Tucker Carlson and Shannon Bream, I find it very difficult to sit through a Fox News broadcast these days. That's it. Maybe Laura Ingraham from time to time. I can't watch Sean Hannity because he's so in the tank for Donald Trump. He's left over from the days when the Fox News Network was the Trump super PAC from 2015 to 2017. Since 2017, they've become the anti-Trump network, and I just can't deal with that either. Anyway, that's no objectivity. The fourth estate is dead in this country, and there's no one left to save it except independent news journalists and reporters like myself and others who report the facts. We don't like nonsense on this channel. I prefer to report the facts. You don't always have all the facts. Sometimes you have to make an analysis and give your projection and your analysis. But it's certainly done in an objective fashion here. NJC says, I live in Philadelphia. When we learned Joe Frazier voted, I couldn't. Oh my gosh. And CJ, Joe Frazier voted. Wow. Imagine the United States would be if the media was honest. Yeah, Yalu. Imagine how the United States would be if the Democrats had not been treasonous and undermined the president, if the Republicans hadn't fought him for 2 years in the House of Representatives and in the Senate until they lost the House, and then the Senate played ball with the president. And imagine if the media hadn't lied about him, called him a homophobe, called him a racist, called him a xenophobe, called him a nationalist. None of that's true. It's all nonsense. They're labels they throw on the guy. If they hadn't undermined his foreign policy on repeat, but look at all his foreign policy success, even though he's undermined it. Okay, now I'm getting right back into having a conversation. I got to go, folks. John Grusing says, thanks, Chris, you rock. Look forward to seeing you again. Yeah, folks, please tune in. If you don't know, this is a channel focused on Africa, but we talk a lot about rugby. We talk a lot about U.S. politics here, and we talk about all over Africa. Nigeria, Ghana, Liberia, Uganda, Botswana, Namibia. Just did a video last night on Namibia and Botswana. Not a good video. The video's good, but the story's not good. Daniel Prinsloo is here. Good morning from Underberg. All is good. God bless you. Thank you so much, Daniel. And thank you, man, for the super chats of late. They're much appreciated. Yalu says, now we know why they tried so hard to block ACB from getting appointed. They're planning on cheating the whole time. Exactly. And that's why the media is so intent on delegitimizing any questions about the authenticity of the election, because they want to get pressed it. They want to get pressed. They don't want any cases to go to the Supreme Court because they know that they'll lose. That's the bottom line. I don't want the vote to go to the Supreme Court. I want it to be decided in the states. Lisa Parkinson says, I'm glad I found you. I'm glad you found me too, Lisa. Bye bye donkey, ke alabo. Buy a donkey is Afrikaans, which means thank you very much. It sounds like buy a donkey. And if you do buy a donkey, you could also buy a mule or horse if you prefer. That's buy donkeys Afrikaans. And ke alabo is Tswana, or as we say in Botswana, it's Setswana. That's the same language, different country. Ke alabo means thank you very much. And vielen Dank, of course, is German. And so, merci mille fois. Thank you very much, folks. That's it. I'm out of here. And shall I leave with a song, folks? Let me do a song. I opened with a Giselle song. Let me do with Lek Je Foto Op. This is a pleasant song on the way out. You guys enjoy this. This is Giselle, Lek Je Foto Op. Thank you so much for tuning in to all the people. We got like 200 people still at this hour after midnight. I'm done. God bless. And we'll see you tomorrow. I have lots of work to do prepping for Veterans Day. Live stream on Veterans Day, November 11th, here celebrating Remembrance Day in the Commonwealth countries and Veterans Day in the United States, talking about U.S. veterans and the First World War as well. And then later that day on the Night Owl stream, we'll be talking about Rhodesia Day, because it's Rhodesia Day, November 11th. And then we'll have here on the 16th of December, the Day of the Vow on South Africa. That's all coming up here on Chris White Africa. All right. And then I'm glad I woke up early, readjusting body clock after night shift. Keith. Okay, cool beans. All right, I'm going to leave you with Giselle, and enjoy, folks. God bless and have a good night.